Good morning! Coming up on this Christmas Eve edition of the Daily Tip from BetQL presented by BetMGM. We're going to check out last night's bets before we talk about what we saw on the frozen tundra between the Saints and the Packers on Monday Night Football. Christmas Day in the NFL to talk about as well. Chiefs and Steelers, Texans hosting the Ravens. We got Beyonce performing at halftime. That should be great. Then at 7 o'clock, we start looking at the numbers for all of the angles in Week 17 in the NFL before Chelsea puts together her teaser for us. And finally, during the 8 o'clock hour, we will tell you
who's on the nice list, who's on the naughty list, and then we make our picks in this week's Survivor Pool, followed by Donkster and our best bets. I'm Michael Jenkins in D.C. She is Chelsea Messenger, live in Nashville, Tennessee. Chelsea, I did not know that you were on the naughty list. What have you been doing?
Yeah, I didn't know either. I've been busy wrapping presents and wearing festive outfits. Santa, how could you? This feels like a bad beat. Can I complain to the books?
You can. I like the getup. And we kind of match this morning. You've got the red on. I've got the green. We look like a betting Christmas tree.
Ah, yes. I was thinking there was, I want to say there was a sounder for The Simpsons in there. Wasn't Santa's Little Helper, or maybe there wasn't. I was thinking of Santa's Little Helper. Remember their dog? His name was Santa's Little Helper, and he was a greyhound down at the racetrack. Maybe we could be talking some greyhound racing today or something to the tune of our favorite Christmas characters on TV. I don't know.
That's a good idea. When's the last time you bet on greyhounds? I don't think I've ever bet on greyhounds before. I mean, that's old. I don't think didn't they outlaw that or something? Didn't they used to do that?
I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah.
I don't think it's very humane. But when I lived in Florida, they still had it. When I was in Fort Myers not that long ago, they had dog tracks, and people would go to the track and bet on, like, what would be the terminology? Like, you know, people say the ponies, the doggies. Like, what's the slang for it?
Bet on the dogs this weekend. That means
the
underdogs. The doggos. I mean, when I lived in Texas, there was a Greyhound park, and it was a Greyhound racing park. But yeah, I think that's sort of old school now. Who would have bet that we look like we do Christmas Eve? Are you in the spirit? I'm pumped. I'm in a great mood because I cannot wait. It's Christmas Eve. Santa's coming tomorrow. Oh, we got a couple days off. We got football during our days off. I am very, very excited this morning. And it's going to be hard for me not to pop up some eggnog or something like that in the final hour. I don't have any, but I'm sure if I talk to Raj or something, he'll have some. He's got it all.
Yeah, what do they have in the vending machine? I'm sure they don't sell alcohol up there, right? But maybe the junkies can get you some. Like, they're probably drinking today, right?
They probably are.
Drinking at home. They're off all week.
Are they off all week?
Yeah, of course. They're probably off for the next 2 weeks.
Oh, dude. Although I did see, I want to say, Raj this morning was pulling the old switcheroo. Now, it wasn't his fault. It wasn't intentional. But he was filling up the coffee machine, and I guess we're out of coffee. So I glance over, and I see the green label. You know what that means? Decaf. So I see Roger filling it up, and I'm like, I just look over. He goes, well, it's all we got. Better than nothing, right? And I was like, yeah. But now I know if I go to get coffee, it's not going to help, and that's why I bought a Red Bull this morning. You know, this reminds me of when I was a trainer in high school for the football team my freshman year, and I took all these classes. I went to the University of North Texas and studied like kinesiology and all these different things to learn about injuries. And there was a guy, he played offensive line for us, and he had back issues, and he needed icy hot on his back, and we didn't have any. Like, we didn't travel with it. It was a mistake. And we're like, we got to rub something on this guy's back so that he feels like mentally it's working. Like, let's just make him think like we're rubbing something into his back. So we got like diaper cream or something. It's like Desitin or something like that. Like some sort of rash cream. And we rubbed it into his back because we knew it would be harmless. And then I swear to God, like 10 minutes later, he comes up. He's like, feels a lot better, guys. Thanks. Like, it was just the mental thought that something was being put on his back. So I feel like that's the thing with coffee. If you don't know it's decaf, and you drink it anyway, you might be like, oh, this is great. I feel better.
I don't think so, right? Like, do you not get a feeling from caffeine? Because I understand that there is a placebo effect, and it's similar to the vein of Michael's secret stuff in the movie Space Jam. Don't know if you've seen Space Jam. I feel like you haven't seen any cartoons, sports related or not, Have you seen Space Jam?
I've seen bits of it.
Of course not. God. Jinx hasn't seen anything. God, Jinx, you got to see some of these movies. But I get what you're saying. But like Icy Hot, there is a feeling to it. And caffeine, there is a feeling to it. And I feel like at this early in the morning, I want to be rocketing off into space. And I want to absolutely feel it. I don't just want the taste of caffeine. I want to feel it. And that's why I have a Monster or a rain body fuel.
What in the world? Rain body fuel. Well, you know what? If it's working for you, it's working for you. And guess what? I don't know if you're drinking rain yesterday, but it got you a dub.
Yeah. Best bet of the night was trying a roundabout way trying to play the Packers to win the game without laying minus 1,000 on the money line and laying minus 14 on the spread. So the trend that I've noticed is Jordan Love goes under his passing attempts when they win the game, and he goes over it when they lose the game. So I went under last night. 29.5 was the number. This was an absolute sweat. He finished with 28. He was taken out of the game in the last drive. Thank God, because this was an absolute blowout. So I will take my win today with a smile.
Nice job. Also, I went 2-0 last night, and I have to give full credit because I was on that bet. That was totally Chelsea's handicap, but I listened to that handicap, and I was like, you know what? I'm with Chelsea on that, so full credit to you. Also, on Rangers Devils under 6.5. Devils win 5-0, so a couple dubs. As for the Donkster, couple of L's. Had Josh Jacobs over 88.5 rushing yards, only had 69. Nice. Also had the Celtics minus 10 at the Magic. Magic win outright, 108-104. So on this shortened week, you're 1-0. I'm 2-0. The Donkster 0-2. It is the Daily Tip from BetQL presented by BetMGM. Great to have you with us on this Christmas Eve edition. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Hope you're having a good one with your friends and your family. We appreciate you waking up with us. Let's look at what we saw last night on the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. The Packers all over the Saints. 34-0. Packers laying 14. They were minus 1,000 on the money line. Total set at 42.5. The under hits. Jordan Love, 16 of 28, 182 yards, 1 touchdown. And Josh Jacobs racking up 107 yards total from scrimmage.
And now, touchdown, Jacobs.
Joe Buck with the call on ESPN. The Packers defense stepping up, holding the Saints to 196 total yards, and they make the playoffs for the 5th time in 6 years. Packers also get their first shutout since blanking the Seahawks 17-0 in November of 2021. Largest margin of victory for Green Bay since they blew out the Bears 55-14 in 2012. This was just domination from the start, Chelsea.
Yeah, this game wasn't even close. This game was so bad that I felt like I needed to go on a diatribe that the SEC should have had this spot on Monday Night Football instead of the Saints. The Saints looked so bad. It looked like there was a complete gap in talent. It looked like it was a team that did not belong in the college football playoff, Paul. But this game was not close. It was not entertaining. And maybe the only takeaway I have is that we need to put the Packers in the same category as the Lions. Because I feel like if this was the Lions laying 14 points, far less people would have been dragging their feet. They would say, oh, the Lions, yeah, domination station. The Saints are terrible. But the Packers can do this too, at least against the lowly Saints. Because the Saints offense, my goodness, every time I looked up, it was a 3-and-out. They couldn't get anything going at least until the second half. So you see it on the scoreboard. Whenever there's a 0, it means you're doing something terribly, terribly wrong. And that was the case with the Saints.
Man, I wish we'd had a big card last night. We would have crushed this game because you were on the under for pass attempts for Jordan Love. We liked the under. That hit. We leaned laying 14 with the Packers. Also, Spencer Rattler threw a pick. I mean, it's always the day after, right, when you're playing the Monday morning or Tuesday morning quarterback, like, oh, I should have done this or this would have been better. But I feel like had we gone in on most of the angles on this game, they would have come home because I think the one thing we kept coming back to was even the Saints, the team total. That was another one we talked about. How are the Saints going to score in this game? And they did not. They are without so many players, whether it's Derek Carr, whether it's Alvin Kamara. You just had a hard time making a case for New Orleans keeping it close, and they just couldn't do it.
Yeah, the one that got away from me was the Aaron Jones or Josh Jacobs, Josh Jacobs touchdown. Saints team total under 19.5 parlay. That's the one that got away because that would have been an easy winner. But I will say this, blowouts kill props because there were some that I'm sure people were lamenting. That first drive of the game, I'm sure anybody who had a Josh Jacobs rushing yard prop thought they were golden. I think he had like 30 yards in the first drive alone. But he only finished with 13 carries, 69 yards, which nice. But still, they split the ball a lot, and this is kind of what happens in blowouts. There is no need to run your workhorse into the ground, especially if you're a team with playoff implications.
Yeah, no doubt. Josh Jacobs, by the way, has now rushed for a touchdown in 6 consecutive games. That is one away from the franchise record set by Paul Hornung back in 1960. The only bad news for Green Bay is that knee injury to Christian Watson happened in the second quarter. He tried to come back in the third for a few plays and just couldn't go. So he's going to have an MRI later today. I hope he's okay because this Green Bay Packers team, they've kind of gotten lost in the mix. And I know we've talked about this a little bit. The Packers, again, have won 9 of 11. They're really good. That's a top 10 defense that the Saints were facing last night. It's just that in their own division right now, they're the third best team because the NFC North is such a wagon this season.
Right. But still, when it comes to head-to-head, if they're facing the Vikings or even the Lions in the postseason, I'm giving them at least a fighting chance because they are a really good team. Maybe the only other takeaway in this game is that usually I wouldn't be a huge fan of taking a team off a short week, somebody who's playing on a Monday and then on a Sunday. But this type of game, when it's not a game for the entirety of the game, you get to rest some of your starters. Like the Packers have a game against the Vikings on Sunday. So normally I would say this is a really tough back-to-back, but at least this wasn't much of a game. This feels like half a game for the Packers. So I don't know how much like you take away from the Packers moving forward. You know, the fact that they had a game, it's a tight turnaround.
No, that's true. And tight turnarounds are always tough, as we know. But to your point, it's not like they exerted a lot in this game. I'm just looking at the NFC North, and I'm fascinated. Right now, the Lions are 13-2. The Vikings are 13-2. And here are the Packers like right behind. The Lions have won 12 of 13. The Vikings have won 8 straight. If you're looking at the odds, the Lions are laying 3. They're minus 300 to win the division. The Vikings are plus 240. But these two teams meet at the end of the year. So if you believe in the Vikings to win out and win the division, you can get them at plus money. The Packers aren't going to do it. They're not listed because they can't. But, man, it's unbelievable. And, by the way, the Bears have won 9 straight there, or lost 9 straight. They're at the very, very bottom. My God, 4-11 after a good start. But, yeah, how this division is going to finish is going to be really interesting to watch over the next couple of weeks because every game will matter, starting with the game you were talking about this weekend.
Yeah, and everybody in the NFC is probably, like, shaking their fists. They're saying, like, these are our wild card teams? Teams that have 13 wins?
Right.
Like, what are we doing here? Can't we get some, like, 8-win squads on here? Can we at least have some, like, easier competition for these wild cards? But you're right. What a stacked division. But when it comes to the postseason, I understand that somebody's going to win the division and somebody's going to get that home field advantage that certainly will matter. But I feel like it's anybody's game. When you have these divisional rivals that face off again in the postseason, that's when we get really good games. Like, if we get to see, like, Steelers-Ravens again in the postseason, I'd want to see that as well, you know, simply because it feels like it's like a rivalry match and these teams know each other so well that it feels like anything can happen. And the Packers are playing really good football right now.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, think about going 11-4, and then you're like a 4 or 5 seed in the playoffs. You're like, are you kidding me? Any other division, you're winning the division, you probably have, 1, 2, 3 seed at worst, and here you are falling behind just because every other team in your division is so good. But been a long time since we've been talking about the NFC North like this. Coming up next, we're going to continue talking about football. The Chiefs getting ready to play their 3rd game in 11 days, but they have a chance to lock up the top seed in the AFC tomorrow in Pittsburgh. We're going to check out the Christmas Day slate. It's next on the Daily Tip from BetQL. It is presented by BetMGM.
Chelsea and Jenks will be right back on the Daily Tip on the BetQL network, presented by BetMGM on the sportsbook born in Vegas. Download the app today. Please gamble responsibly. Welcome back to the Daily Tip, presented by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Download the app today with Michael Jenkins and Chelsea Messenger on the BetQL network.
The Christmas Eve edition of the Daily Tip from BetQL, presented by BetMGM. Thanks for waking up with us live across the country. I'm Michael Jenkins. She is Chelsea Messenger. Coming up here on the program, yeah, we're talking NFL football. The Chiefs looking to lock up the top seed in the AFC, but they've got to go to the Steelers to do it. We're going to check out tomorrow's games in the National Football League. So, Chelsea, we get a special treat because not only are the Steelers and the Chiefs playing, the Ravens are down in H-Town taking on the Texans, and Beyonce, Queen Bee, is going to be performing at halftime. Should be awesome because, of course, she's from Houston. That's her hometown. And you have to wonder, like, if you're a football player and you're playing in that game, I mean, there's got to be tons of Beyonce fans on both sides. Well, Lamar Jackson, quarterback of the Ravens, was asked about that, about Queen Bee performing, and this is what he said.
Nah, because I'm going to go out there and watch. Yeah. Go out there and watch, man. My first time seeing Beyonce perform, and it's at our game. That's dope. I'm going to go out and watch. Sorry, Hawa. Sorry, fellas.
Depends how big your lead is, if you guys have one.
Nah, man, I'm not even thinking about the lead. I was just thinking about just seeing Beyonce for the first time. Not saying it like that. No disrespect, nah. Because I know how people can take things. Pause.
Yeah, no disrespect, Coach, but I won't be in the locker room at the half. I love that.
I just imagine him, that meme of him where he's sitting on the bench with his sunglasses on, just smiling. Like, that's how he's going to be watching the Beyonce concert. At least it's music that's, like, uplifting and motivating, or at least for women it is. So it feels like maybe he will be a touch more motivated in the second half. Like, it could be something, like, really down and out and depressing and, like, you know, existential, to where he's thinking, you know, why do I even play football? So it's not like that. It's Beyonce. It is power music. I think it'll get him energized for the second half. It's funny to hear players say this because we're all humans and this is good music. You know, she is one of the top tier talents in pop music. So he's just saying what he wants to say. And I feel like he's at a stage in his career where he can be honest and he can make jokes. And he even said this, like, in his little quote, some people are going to take this the wrong way. Ooh, Lamar Jackson should only think about football 24/7. Maybe he should probably be thinking about it at halftime. I don't know how this game's going to go.
Yeah.
But he's allowed to live a little.
Oh, of course. Yeah. No, there will be people who take this way out of context and don't understand hyperbole and will be like, oh, my God, I can't believe this guy is a two-time MVP. You're fighting for a playoff spot. You know, you want to go all the way. You need another dub here. You're not focused on football. Why are you getting paid millions of dollars? You can listen to Beyonce on your Echo at home. I don't know. Lamar Jackson probably doesn't have an Echo. He probably has something much more sophisticated than like a small Amazon Echo or a Dot or something. You know, Lamar walks in, play Beyonce. Alexa. Yeah, his house is probably a little bit nicer than mine. But I have an Echo. So if I want to listen to Beyonce, I'll just walk in and say, Alexa, fire up some Queen Bee.
Imagine if you're the NBA right now. Like, not only is the NFL taking your day and having 2 games on Christmas, now they're having halftime performances. Like, what are they doing? Like, what's the NBA doing? Do they have any halftime performers for any of their games? I feel like I haven't heard anything.
Oh, man. I don't know. Whatever it is, it's not getting any sort of pub. You know? It's like, guys... Yeah. At halftime, I don't even know who's playing on Christmas. Lakers playing? Lakers playing Christmas, right? Yeah.
Lakers, Warriors.
Okay, good one.
Yeah, Warriors, Nuggets, Sun.
Yep. You've got the Celtics and
Nuggets,
76ers.
Suns.
Nuggets, Suns. Mavericks, T-Wolves.
Okay.
And the first game of the day is Spurs
next.
Okay. So halftime of the Lakers game, ladies and gentlemen, to give us an inspirational speech to get us pumped for the second half, Jaleel White from Family Matters. You remember him as Urkel. Like, oh, all right, well.
Well, is Adele still, clapping. Isn't Adele still dating Rich Paul? I need to look it up.
Aren't they getting married? I think they're getting married.
I don't keep up. Sounds like you're the know-it-all on Adele. You tell us.
You know me. I don't know. Well, the lovely Catherine went to Germany
right
a couple months ago to see Adele live in a stadium that they built for Adele, by the way. And then Adele's going to take like a decade off or something. It's like her final concert. I think she's getting married, and then she's retiring for like 10 years. I'm not even kidding.
She doesn't want to perform at the Lakers game?
She does not. That's Jaleel White's job.
They are doing the Dunk the Halls broadcast.
What is that?
Which is the animation like the NFL did.
Oh,
with the
okay, that's kind of
Simpsons.
cool.
They're doing it for the Spurs-Knicks game.
Okay. Dunk the
Is there a
Halls.
theme? Like, you know how The Simpsons is The Simpsons? What is Dunk the Halls?
It says emanating from Disney's Magic Kingdom Park on the iconic Main Street, USA.
Oh.
Mickey and Friends.
Oh. Goofy goes in. Throws down an alley-oop.
Animated commentators Drew Carter and Monica McNutt. And Daisy Duck will be the sideline reporter.
Oh, big Daisy Duck guy. Love Daisy Duck.
I feel like Goofy reminds me of Rudy Gobert. Like, I feel like that would be Rudy Gobert. I know he's not in this game, but or Anthony Davis. Because Goofy would definitely be a center, right? Tall and lanky.
Oh, yeah. You know what reminds me of Rudy Gobert? COVID. You remember when that first started and he didn't think it was a big deal? He was just like wiping his hands all over the mic. Well, I guess there's no halftime performance in Pittsburgh. Chiefs and Steelers, that's just going to be good old-fashioned football. So let's start with that. Then we'll get to H-Town. The Chiefs, this is huge for the Chiefs in the Steel City. They can lock up the number one seed in the AFC with a win. Now, the Chiefs are laying 2.5. They're minus 135 up to minus 155 now at BetMGM. The Steelers are plus 125. Your total set at 43.5, so that is inched up a full point as well. What is going to happen in the Steel City? Very short number here.
I feel like if this was a normal instance, I would like the Chiefs. But how many games have the Chiefs played over the last 2 weeks? They played on December 15th, December 21st, and now they're going to be playing on a Wednesday. So it just kind of feels like a brutal stretch for the Chiefs, but it's still the Chiefs. Like, I'm sure they'll find a way to eke out a win here. I have questions about the Steelers because I've wanted to trust them for back-to-back weeks, but I think we've seen how much they are missing George Pickens in that offense. So the injury report on him is that there is a chance that he plays. He was a full participant at practice yesterday, I believe. They haven't said for sure if he's playing, but it does look like he's trending towards playing. And I'm on the field. So maybe that's, tips the scales in favor of the Steelers. But like, Jenks, are you going to go against the voodoo magic of the Chiefs? Like, I feel like I can't in good conscience do it. I just can't.
I mean, once again, money coming in on the Chiefs. We've gone from minus 2.5 to minus 3, minus 135 to minus 155. So, of course, if you can get the Chiefs less than a field goal, I figured as soon as I saw that line, like, of course, everyone's going to be on Kansas City. And I get it. You know what I would do here? I would honestly, even though the total has ticked up, I like the under in this game. I think that, to me, is a better play because let's talk about game script for a second. And if you're the Steelers, then the last thing you want to do is get into a shootout with Russ and Patrick Mahomes trying to go back and forth. I think we see a bit of a bounce-back spot for Russell Wilson here because he was really not good against the Ravens at all. Had that pick six, had that terrible fumble. Steelers want to chew up the clock here, keep the Chiefs' offense off the field. And honestly, I think Kansas City is going to be tired. Again, third game in 11 days. I don't care how good you are. That will wear you out. Steelers are 7th in total defense. The Chiefs are 3rd in total defense. When Pittsburgh is a home dog outside the division, 8-2 to the under in their last 10, I like the under here.
42.5 makes me nervous, though, especially with George Pickens back, because I do think it gives him that explosive play potential to possibly score quickly. So, I don't know. I hate playing unders. Like, do you really want to sweat an under on Christmas Day? I for sure do not. I think the question for me is, at what number do you look at the other side? Because I know it's been 2.5 for the Chiefs, but now that it's sitting at 3, I think you could possibly make a case for the Steelers and say, okay, maybe the Chiefs win the game, but it definitely could be a field goal game. Because how many games have the Chiefs played in that have ended with, 3 points or fewer being the final score. So
Yeah.
maybe you can account for some of that voodoo magic in this one for the Chiefs to still win the game. But at a field goal, maybe that's what I'm interested in the Steelers.
All right. I'm not going to bet a side. I really like the under here. And I don't necessarily want to sweat it, but I do think it's the right side. So I'm going to go under 42.5, even though the money is going against me because it is ticked up. But then again, we saw that last night in Green Bay, where just because the money ticks up a number doesn't necessarily mean it's the right side. Also need to look at the weather in the Steel City this weekend because weather can have a real factor, particularly when you're looking at totals and it's late December, so it'll probably be cold. When I see a cold weather game, that makes me think under as well. What do you think about the Ravens and Texans? We talked about Beyonce performing at halftime. Will that affect the handicap? The Ravens are laying 4. They're minus 210 on the money line. The Texans are plus 170. The total is 47 and a hook, and now we're seeing money come in on the Ravens. That number has gone from Ravens minus 4 to Ravens minus 5.5, and I really like the Ravens here. I think they're playing their best football of the season. Now, it's kind of a dead number, so 5.5 isn't really anything. But I think Baltimore is where I'd lean here. What about you?
I like the Ravens, and I was trying to find a creative way to play it without laying the 5.5. So, Jenks, how about a halftime and full-time bet, which means the Ravens need to be on the money line at halftime, and then you need the Ravens to win the game. Because in the first half, the Ravens have been one of the most dynamic offenses in football. And you could say that for the full game as well. But as far as the first half alone goes, they have the third most points per game in the first half of any team in the NFL. So if you do both of those, it's minus 140. So that way, they just have to win the game, and they just have to be leading at halftime, which I need to double check that. Because if it's first half money line, if it's at least a tie, like you don't lose. But I think I like that the best.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask. Do they have to be winning, or is it just like a regular? Because that's interesting. But yeah, if it's a money line bet, but it's halftime, do they have to be winning, or do you get a push if it's tied?
You get a push.
Okay,
anything
great.
money line, I would imagine it's the same as like a money line bet.
Okay. Because obviously at the end of the game, you're going to have a winner, win or lose. So
Yeah.
I didn't know if it's halftime, if the rules are different. Sometimes they'll add a tweak
Like baseball,
there.
right?
What's that?
It's like baseball, I would imagine. First 5 money line.
I guess that's true. It's a good call. All right. Yeah, I like that. You said it's minus 140?
Yeah. I like that better instead of laying 5.5. Are you going to lay the points?
I'm thinking about it. I mean, man, that number moved quick, which makes sense, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm in that mindset where, hey, because I like to wait a little bit. Like unless I like a bet early, I like to wait a little bit, kind of see a little bit of movement and wait for injuries. And I know not everyone is like that. Some people like to jump on a number early. But I have this mentality right now. All right, you got some time. Just wait until Saturday or Sunday, and then you forget. No. These games are on Christmas. Like, they're happening tomorrow. And so that's why we're seeing this movement so quickly. So I got to get out of that mindset when it comes to these games.
Yeah, because it's on a Wednesday.
I know.
But I do think the Ravens are the right side. They have so many injuries for the Texans, most notably, obviously, Tank Dell. You saw how much that impacted C.J. Stroud on the sidelines. Also, Shaq Mason is out, Jamie Ward. So it's a team dealing with a lot of injuries. And plus, the Texans, I feel like, have been a bit disappointing this year. For a team that kind of came out strong with C.J. Stroud putting out, this crazy rookie season. And then this year, just against the spread, the market's been a little too high on them. Just 6-7-2 against the number this year. A team that's 9-6, yes, but I don't know. It's been a team that's been a little bit underwhelming.
No, I agree. And also, I hate to say this, but I think the mental grind or the emotional impact of watching Tank Dell get injured like that can just really decimate a team mentally. Because not only do you lose a great talent, there's no question about that. That affects the offense. But then you have to watch someone who's beloved by your team when he's super close with your quarterback and your quarterback's upset. Coming back from that sort of emotional setback can be difficult. I really hate to mention that as part of the handicap, but I think it's a real thing when you lose a significant piece like that in a way that is impactful. And I don't know if that has anything to do with the number moving this much, but it's something I think to maybe take into account.
Well, even if you didn't mention that, Tank Dell's a big part of the offense. So even if you left, the emotions aside, But I do think you're onto something because didn't he run into his own teammate for like the second time in a year or the second time in a row? Like this is the same injury it feels like he had last year where he had a really gruesome season-ending injury and he ran into like his own player. His own player ran into him. So like think about being that teammate and how bad you would feel.
No, exactly. It's just kind of a freak deal for a guy who's beloved by his teammates. So, yeah, that's tough to recover from when you watch someone you love that much, suffer another injury like that. Coming up next here on the show. All right, let's take a little break just for a moment from football, and we'll tell you what you should be watching in my streaming corner besides maybe a holiday movie. It is next on the Daily Tip from BetQL, presented by BetMGM.
Hey, it's Joe Ostrowski. Join me and Sammy P on BetQL Daily, weekday mornings at 9 Eastern, where we look to give you the insider edge and insights to help you make smarter bets.
Let's get back to the Daily Tip with Chelsea Messenger and Michael Jenkins on the BetQL Network, presented by BetMGM. The sportsbook born in Vegas. Download the app today. Please gamble responsibly.
Good morning to you and welcome back. I'm digging this holiday music. Well done, Double D. The Daily Tip from BetQL, presented by BetMGM. Good morning. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you and yours. Coming up here on the show, yeah, you can watch plenty of holiday movies over the next week. I'm going to tell you what else you might want to check out in my streaming corner. Although I have to say, Chelsea, you are the queen of holiday movies. Yesterday, you were naming all the movies that you have watched that are holiday themed. Incredible. It was just a litany, like one after the other after the other. Like you were getting down to like Home Alone 6. It was amazing.
Hell no, it's not Home Alone 6. I won't be watching that nonsense unless it's the original cast. I don't know who that kid is in Home Alone 3. Get him out of here. No, if it's not Kevin McAllister, the real Kevin McAllister, I don't want to watch it. But here's the thing. I just put on Christmas movies while I'm doing chores around the house. So it's not like I'm parked on the couch, like really into it. It's those movies that it feels almost like, remember when you didn't have streaming and like TBS would just play movies, and it would be like those comfort movies. It'd be like Forgetting Sarah Marshall or like Wedding Crashers, to where you've already seen the movie, so you don't really have to pay attention. And you just kind of fold laundry or do stuff while you watch them. Like, that's what I'm doing with these Christmas movies. To get me in the spirit, I'll watch a scene or two. I'll go, unload the dishwasher. So it's not me, with my popcorn just intently, ooh, what happens next? Like, everything's really predictable in all these Hallmark movies.
That'd be really funny if you were just like locked into your TV eating popcorn. Like, oh my God, I wonder what happens here on the holiday. It was amazing. Well, I get that,
like, that's the thing about like Christmas movies, and especially like the rom-coms. Even if you take Christmas out of the equation, it's always very predictable.
Yes.
So sometimes I don't even watch the whole thing. I'm like, okay, we'll watch the first part. We'll see what the decorations look like. But I don't need to see how this resolves itself, because it always does.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to have like the couple come together at the end in the town square for a kiss, and then like a sharpshooter from a building across the way like takes her out. And you're like, oh my God, out of nowhere. Nobody saw that coming. The end. You'd be like, oh, the worst Hallmark movie ever. Speaking
that sounds
of,
like something you would watch, though.
Well, I was going to say, the reason why I'm thinking about this is that I just watched something similar on Netflix, Black Doves, Keira Knightley, Ben Whishaw. It is, the odd thing about this, it's sort of a British spy series, but it's really a romantic drama because Keira Knightley's character gets involved with someone. This is not giving anything away. And so when he dies, she's like, all right, I'm going to figure out who did this. It's really good. You have to pay a lot of attention because the plot gets, I don't want to say murky, but you can't just like put this on in the background. Like, you have to be very intent when you watch it to sort of follow along. But it's only 6 episodes. Keira Knightley is great in this. And I'm really excited because as soon as Catherine and I finished, we were like, ooh, is there going to be a season 2 or not? And season 2 just confirmed. Again, 6 episodes. Keira Knightley is awesome. It's really good. Black Doves on Netflix. Recommend.
You lost me on having to pay attention.
Oh, Chelsea.
But, like, you know how it is. Like, here's the problem with me. Like, I have to watch movies that I can watch in front of my 5-year-old. So I have all these movies that are on my movies I want to watch list. I want to watch Twister. I wanted to watch that this summer. I still haven't gotten around to it. I want to watch It Ends With Us. We were just talking about the heavy drama between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, because now I feel like I have to see how they interact. I feel like it's always not great PR, but it definitely develops more intrigue about a movie if you have real life storylines between the 2 stars in the movie. And that's exactly what we're seeing, and It Ends With Us. So I kind of want to watch just to see what the dynamic is.
No, that's fair. Then you can kind of watch for, am I seeing something here in the way you guys are acting towards one another? Is there something subtle that I'm missing? Also, I do want to say, wasn't Keira Knightley in Love Actually? Isn't that correct?
Yes.
What's really cool is, because I've seen that movie, what's really cool is to see her do a complete 180 where she's a spy. and there's these awesome fight scenes. So you see her here. She shows just a lot of range, is what I'm trying to say. So big fan of that. Yeah, it was great. She was
Those
awesome.
type of actresses, like, they deserve their flowers. It's similar to, I think Rachel McAdams is a great example.
Yep.
Somebody who goes from playing Regina George in Mean Girls to the main character in The Notebook. Like, that's a very wide range. And I feel like she can do the comedy and she can do the satire, but she can also play like the heavy roles. And she can also like have that gravitas where you believe her when she's saying stuff that's really meaningful. Same goes for Keira Knightley.
Yeah, she's awesome. Yeah, so pumped about season 2. All right, Chelsea, I know you talked about It Ends With Us, which apparently is super depressing. Do you have anything else that you would like to recommend here? Double D is champing at the bit here.
I mean, how are we not talking about Christmas movies? It's Christmas Eve. So here's
we've
a
all
question
seen
for
them.
everybody.
All right.
But it's Christmas Eve. Like, I feel like this is the one go-to activity that you can do with your family. Because, like, it's Christmas Eve and we don't have football on until tomorrow. Because we will watch football at my house on Christmas Day. But I want to put on, like, some type of movie while my family is over.
Okay.
So I'm open to suggestions. Like, what's the best Christmas movie you think I should put on that's family appropriate, that's a classic, that will set the mood?
I'm going to throw out the name of a film that doesn't exist, but I bet you can find it. The Heart Never Lies. Just search for it. I'm sure it's a Hallmark film somewhere. Is there? Bill's going to search. If there's a movie named The Heart Never Lies, it's going to be awesome. I'm just throwing it out there. It sounds like a Hallmark movie. I don't know. We've got to watch. I put it off last night because we watched a couple of killer cases last night, and we watched a Dateline last night. But The Holiday is coming. The Holiday is coming tonight. We're watching The Holiday, and then what else are we going to watch? Probably Holiday and Elf. Those are classics.
We tried to watch the new Rock movie that's Red One. I think it's like a spin on. He's like, you know, like Air Force One protects the president. I don't know the terminology, but basically he is the protector of Santa. I will say it's pretty good, but it's very action oriented. Like, my daughter didn't care for it, so we didn't get to finish it. But I did like the first hour of it. So if anybody's interested in a new age Christmas action movie.
You can't give a review when you've seen an hour of a film. I mean, I guess you can.
Why
not? You can be like Chelsea's Figure It Out movie reviews. Like, I'll give you the first hour, then you figure it out, right? You figure
the
out
first
the
hour
rest.
of Titanic, a feel-good family classic.
Right? Yeah. You're going to love this love story. Maybe. Okay, Double D. Double D is dying to talk about. He's going to go completely. It's not going to be Christmas. I believe he wants to talk about a comedy special. Good morning, Double D. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas to you guys. Happy holidays. First off, Chelsea, 8 o'clock tonight, TNT, just put on A Christmas Story and let it run. It's on for 24 hours. It's great. It's fantastic. You'll shoot your eye out. Oh, fudge.
That's what I was looking for. That's the suggestion that I was looking for. So thank you, David.
There you go.
I haven't even seen it. So I probably need to watch
Exactly.
it.
You said that yesterday. So I wanted to say that. For me, I streamed the Jamie Foxx comedy special on Netflix. It is absolutely amazing, heartfelt, funny. You're going to cry. It is amazingly well done by Jamie Foxx. And the other thing I wanted to bring up, Jenks, I don't know if you're into this or not, but Squid Games 2 starts on Thursday.
I saw that. I'll be watching. We watched the original, so we'll be in. Yeah, I didn't realize it started so soon, though.
Excited is beyond.
Also, I do want to say, like, that's a good recommendation for Jamie. Like, Jamie Foxx is one of the most talented people on the planet. Like, he's hilarious. He can act. He can sing. He's super likable. He can do anything. So I'm excited about watching that as well. It's going to be great.
It's a very unconventional comedy special. I will say that.
Yeah.
It pulls you in so many emotional directions. You're going to laugh, cry. It's amazing.
You'll laugh. You'll cry. You'll want more. The Jamie Foxx special on Netflix. What's it called?
I think it's just the Jamie Foxx.
What had happened was.
What had happened was.
Oh, yeah,
that's
right.
Yeah.
What had happened was.
Man, That's crazy. And he's been around forever. I mean, that goes back to the In Living Color days with Jim Carrey and the Wayans brothers. I mean, he's been a stud for a long time. So, all right. But, Chelsea, your duty is not to watch anything that is not kid-friendly. You have to watch A Christmas Story tonight, like Double D was suggesting. I think it's a great suggestion.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's Christmas Eve. Like, I'm not going to watch, like, some thriller with my family. It needs to be Christmas-oriented, at least. What I was going to say about Jamie Foxx is that, number one, used to grow up watching the Jamie Foxx show on UPN because I didn't have cable, and this was one of the channels that, like, my antenna would reach. And I'm really excited for the new movie with Cameron Diaz and Jamie Foxx. I don't know if you've been following Cameron Diaz, but she took a long break from Hollywood.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about The Holiday. Like, she's amazing in that one. I'm really excited to see, like, her return back to, you know, the big screen, especially with Jamie Foxx. If you haven't seen The Longest or Any Given Sunday, she's great with Jamie Foxx in that one.
Yeah.
So I want to see, it's called Back in Action. I'm not sure when it comes out, but I want to watch it.
UPN, you took me back with that one.
Hell yeah.
Is the WB still around? Is that still around? No.
No.
That faded. Remember the
I think it's
DeMont
Freeform.
Network from like the 1950s? People forget about that one.
No, I don't.
Yeah, well, that didn't last either.
1950s?
Is there anything? Oh, yeah, it lasted, I don't know how long, just for a few years. Are any of those kind of ancillary networks still around outside of ABC?
Yeah, I'm
NBC?
sure they are somewhere. Like Freeform, I think it was the WB, it was the CW, it was ABC Family, I believe.
Oh.
And now it's Freeform. And if you're looking for good Christmas movies, there's usually something on Freeform is now what it is.
Oh, let's clip that off and put that up as a post today. If you guys are looking for some good Christmas movies, here is the history of Freeform. Thanks to Chelsea Messenger.
History of Freeform. You're welcome.
You nailed it. Coming up next on the show. All right. Yeah, we're getting back to sports and sports betting, including the games that matter on Christmas Day and Week 17 in the NFL. It's coming up next on the Daily Tip from BetQL, presented by BetMGM. Hope you're having a great Christmas Eve. We're coming back with Hour 2.
Chelsea and Jenks will be right back on the Daily Tip on the BetQL Network, presented by BetMGM on the Sportsbook Born in Vegas. Download the app today. Please gamble responsibly.
special Christmas Eve edition. Jenks, here's the thing. If I'm already on the naughty list, shouldn't I act like it? That's the thing. There's no, what do they call it? Double jeopardy? When you already have been convicted of committing a crime.
Yeah.
Why don't I just do the crime? Sounds like I should be naughty today.
You should. Why don't you start cursing on air and just see what happens? See if the FCC's paying attention. You could do that. Or at home, you know what? You'd be like, you know what? Guess what, guys? Mama's taking the day off. I'm not going to do any chores today. I'm going to sit here on the couch with my popcorn, and I'm going to watch whatever the hell I want. And I don't care about that elf on the shelf. You know why? Because I'm not getting anything anyway, so I don't care. You should just lean into it.
That would be a disaster. Because here's the thing. People in my family love to say, it'll all get done somehow. And me knowing damn well that I am the somehow. I am the magic. I am the person that's putting it all together. So I've got to wrap a bunch of Christmas presents today.
Oh.
I've got to clean the house. I've got to start the pot roast. So it doesn't feel like I can take the day off, Jenks, or else a lot of people will be let down. Because here's the thing. I can be naughty in my own life, but I am not going to let down my kid. That's obviously the motivation for all the parents out there. So I want to salute to you out there. If you're listening and you have kids and this is really your crunch time, this is our Super Bowl, parents. Get your act together and let's forge through. We've got 2 days, 2 days until maybe the day after Christmas. You can sit back and relax and have yourself a cocktail.
I was just thinking about it. That's good advice, by the way. I'm going to sit back and have a cocktail, even though I'm not a parent. I'm going to take that advice to heart. But here's one. There's one way that you can maybe get off the naughty list. I was just thinking about it. Send me some of that pot roast.
Ooh.
That sounds good. Send me some of that.
This time of year, stuff in the crock pot, that's what I want to have. Because I thought about doing a traditional Christmas feast with a ham and all that. Yep. But here's the thing. I am doing so many things for Christmas the actual day that I'm not going to do all that. I need to be able to relax at least a little bit. So we're doing something in the crock pot. We're going to do a pot roast today, and then we're going to do baked potato soup and sandwiches on Christmas Day. Because there's going to be football on. We got a bunch of deli meat. Apparently, this is what my dad used to do with his family. And I feel like people like sticking to traditions. Is there a tradition that you had growing up that it doesn't really make that much sense to somebody who's on the outside looking at sandwiches on Christmas Day? It feels weird, but I think he wants to do it because that's what he grew up doing.
Yeah. That's a good question. I think it was, and I remember this vaguely, but we would always have a bunch of fried okra on Christmas, which sounds kind of crazy. But the thing is that my grandfather was an amazing man, but also he loved to garden. And so he would grow this himself and then pick the okra and then fry it himself. And it was the best thing in the world just because it was right there, just to the side of his yard. So it was fresh and it was incredible. And it was just kind of a nice side dish that you added with everything else. So I remember as a kid looking forward to that every single year. Man, to this day, and I'm sure nostalgia has something to do with it, but I have never had okra that good. I'm like, oh my, because I don't like regular okra unless it's fried. And oh my God, it was so good. But every year I could not wait for that.
Well, because it's fresh as well.
Yeah.
And I will say the parallel for me is that my mom grew up on a cattle farm. So we had steaks when we went over there. And let me tell you, they were fresh.
Still mooing. Yeah.
They were fresh from the pasture. In fact, my mom would tell me these stories about how they would go out to the pasture and pick one. I'm like, you did that as a kid? These are your Christmas memories? And you're like, yeah, it was delicious. The circle of life.
That's amazing. See your mom going with yeah, he's ready. Let's go ahead and cut her up. Let's go. I'm ready for a steak. It's Christmas time. Circle of life. That's a perfect way to put it. It's just the circle of life.
I feel like she had such a different upbringing from kids now that are I'm not going to call them soft, but growing up on a farm, you can't be soft. You just can't.
Right.
So that's kind of how she was brought up. And I feel like now she's she was really hard on me. She was like, I grew up on a farm. We earned our keep. And I'm like, well, we don't live on a farm. We have a cat. So that's how it was at Christmas time at my mom's side of the family. All right, so let's get to some of these games because I understand a lot of people are going to have time with their family. You're going to be opening presents. So here's the thing. We've done the homework on these games ahead in the NFL, so you don't have to. So, Jenks, let's take an early look at the NFL slate. In fact, it's not even that early of a look for Thursday night football because, yes, we have the Wednesday games on Christmas, but we still have Thursday night football. Oh, Raj is not going to forget that we have the normal primetime spot for Thursday night football. So this week it's the Seahawks and the Bears. A line of this one is sitting at 3.5. Yeah. On 3. This number seems a little suspicious to me. It seems like a short number, and I feel like the Seahawks are one of those teams that I just don't really know what to do with. They've done their tour of like the NFC North, played the Packers 2 weeks ago, lost 30-13, and then most recently lost to the Vikings at home 27-24. So maybe this is, a step down in competition. Maybe they can collect their breath, but it's also a road game. I'm not a huge fan of like laying 3.5 points on the road, especially on a short week. What say you on this Thursday night matchup?
I think it has to be Seattle. Here's the thing is that I'm suspicious of this number. And I'm suspicious because it's actually moved back towards Chicago's way. But the Seahawks have to win this game. They absolutely have to win this game to stay in contention in the NFC West. And the Bears have lost 9 straight. I wish I could take the Seahawks on the money line. I'd feel a lot better, but it's -190. It's too expensive. I can't do that. I would love to get the Seahawks at 3, but I just don't think we get to 3. And also, Seattle has done a very good job of handling losing teams this season. I think they're 5-2-1 against teams who have losing records. So when Seattle faces a lesser opponent, it's very good against the number. Outside of that, they tend to struggle. The number makes me nervous. I would lean Seattle.
Here's the other narrative that I think needs to be addressed here because it was a narrative earlier in the season. I'm not sure if it is so much anymore, and it could just be a fluke. But, Jenks, did you hear the narrative of teams the week after playing the Detroit Lions have this, like, terrible record? They call it the Honolulu flu because the Honolulu blue obviously is what the Lions wear. So this is back in November where this was a thing. Teams the week after playing the Lions, like, went 0-5. I've done a little checkup on some of these teams, and it hasn't been the case for, like the Bills, and the Bills almost lost, I will say that, to the Patriots and the Packers. So maybe some of it was the Lions were just playing bad teams. Yeah. But do you think there's something to that? Because I feel like we've seen this in other years. The year that the Niners were really good, the team that played the Niners the week after they played the Niners, it feels like they would be like physically banged up. Do you think this is a real thing that would go into account? Because the Bears just played the Lions.
I think it has something to do with it, although I didn't realize that the Lions wore Honolulu blue. I just learned that. If you had asked me, I'd say blue, and silver. Blue. What kind of blue? What kind of blue? Just blue. That makes sense. I like that. Honolulu blue. I think there's something to that. And I will say this. The Lions are a very physical football team. Yeah. They're right in line with Dan Campbell's personality, right? They're going to play you physical. They might be really banged up defensively. It doesn't matter. They're going to be a physical football team. I think there's something to that. When you play and some teams are just more physical than others. The Lions are right up there at the top. So I think there's something to that. And then I also think that if you're the Bears, losing 9 straight, that tends to weigh on you after a while. And not to say that these guys aren't pros. They're always going to give their best. But man, when you're under the weight of losing like that again and again and again, that can drag you down. It can drag your performance down. So you take that into account. You take the Honolulu flu into account. The fact that the Seahawks need to win this game. They've had a lot of success against, again, teams with losing records against the number. Then I'm going to lean Seattle here.
I think I'd lean towards Seattle as well, because right in line with kind of the narrative that we were talking about, with teams who play really physical teams the week before, situationally, you look at the Bears' schedule, I know they've lost a bunch of games in a row, but this is their last 4 games. The Lions, the Niners, the Vikings, and the Lions. that is a grueling stretch. Like, even playing the Lions, twice within the span of a month, like, that's a tough one. And getting, the break speed off you by the Niners, then it's the Vikings, then it's the Lions again. So if anybody is beaten down, and we do this in football betting, where situationally there are spots where team just, physically it's hard to recover from. So I think the Bears are in a tough spot here. Now I think I've settled on the Seahawks. Do I feel great about it? No. But I am leaning on the Seahawks here. Let's move on to the Saturday games, because it's that time of year where we have Saturday football. So we have 3 games here: Chargers, Patriots, Broncos, Bengals, Cardinals, Rams. So we have some interesting ones here, especially when it comes to playoff implications. I think that when I see the Bengals and the Broncos, I'm kind of tempted to take the Broncos and the points here. I know the Bengals are a team that has excellent potential and their offense is really good. And usually the handicap on the Broncos has been you take them when they're favorites, because that's when they perform their best. I don't know. I think this might be one of my legs for my teaser. We're going to get to that later in the show. But of these 3 games, which one stands out to you, Jenks?
The game I really like is, believe it or not, I like the Chargers a lot, like in a big way. The Chargers need to win to secure a playoff spot, I believe. And I know the Patriots look pretty good against the Bills last week, but ultimately I think that's an anomaly. And remember, Patriots were 14-0 in that game. Also, if you look at the Patriots offense, I was handicapping this game yesterday. I was working ahead on our Pick 6 for Friday. And if you look at the Patriots offense, they're 32nd in the NFL at running the ball. So they just don't move the ball on the ground. Don't you think if you're Jim Harbaugh and you've got that Chargers defense, you just make Drake May beat you? I just don't think he can, and I think the Chargers are going to be motivated. They're going to be ready. They're going to be rested, and they're going to come out and they're going to cover this number. I really like LA a lot against New England.
I'm not a huge fan of laying over a field goal on the road, but I do think you've touched on a narrative that's worth repeating here. And that's really good coaches going against rookie quarterbacks. Because I think you'd put Jim Harbaugh squarely in the category of good coaches. And we have seen this. It used to be like Bill Belichick against rookie quarterbacks. That was, the narrative to follow when you're looking at some of these rookie teams facing his team. So maybe that's the case here for Drake May. I don't know. 4 is kind of an odd number for me. Do you think the Chargers run away with this one? Because that's, I think, the question that I have here. Because now that the Chargers don't have J.K. Dobbins and it's Gus Edwards that's in charge of the run game, the Chargers don't look nearly as good to me. Like, if they had J.K. Dobbins in this game, I'd be all over the Chargers. But I don't know. I have my questions about the Chargers. So maybe I'll wait and see on that one. What about the Cardinals and the Rams? This line was higher than I thought it was going to be. Because it's a divisional game. I understand that the Rams have usually had the Cardinals number, but Kyler Murray, we know, is extremely shifty. Feels like he can run on anybody. 5.5, though. Rams 5.5-point home favorites. Does this number seem steep to you?
Yeah, it sure does. And listen, the Rams are dangerous right now because they're playing really good football. They're absolutely in contention to win the division, and they've got Sean McVay. And coaching, to me, this is the time of year when I really start looking more at coaching than I normally do, because early on it's kind of hard to get a beat on teams. But then once you start looking at the numbers, you have a bigger sample size and you say, okay, who's the head coach here? Because when the lines become this sharp and this tight at the end of the season, because Vegas is always so good at this, then little coaching decisions go such a long way in determining the outcome. So I tend to lean towards teams that have great head coaches. Sean McVay is that guy. That said, a divisional battle where the Rams are laying 6 seems like a bit too big of a number.
Yeah, I think that's a tough one for me. Maybe the Rams win, but I think in divisional matchups, like we've seen this, there have been games in divisional matchups where teams like the Bears have covered against the Lions. So I think that's an important point to reinforce when you're talking about 5.5 or 6 points. So I think I'm going to stay away from that one. Maybe we'll go to some other games. And coming up next, we'll get to some of the other aforementioned games on the slate. And then later on in the show, I'll get to my teaser. It's a Christmas Eve edition of the Daily Tip. It rolls on after the break here on the BetQL Network.
Chelsea and Jenks will be right back on the Daily Tip on the BetQL Network, presented by BetMGM on the Sportsbook Born in Vegas. Download the app today. Please gamble responsibly. Welcome back to the Daily Tip, presented by BetMGM. The sportsbook born in Vegas. Download the app today with Michael Jenkins and Chelsea Messenger on the BetQL network.
All right. Off and rocking on this Christmas Eve. I'm Chelsea Messenger. He's Michael Jenkins. In a few minutes, we'll get to the rest of the NFL slate because we understand you're busy people. Maybe you don't have time to look at every single one of these NFL games. But, we don't have that much of the NFL season left. And I'm sure you want to bet this weekend. So we've done the homework. We've found the trends. We've found the stats that maybe you should know before betting on some of these games. So, Jenks, during the break, we've been talking about Aaron Rodgers. Apparently, he has a new girlfriend that he was giving details about on the Pat McAfee show yesterday, including some real barn burners, including, she doesn't have social media. And we like to sit and watch the Pat McAfee show. And how about this absolute jewel of information? I almost didn't get her Christmas gift in time. Wow, I feel like I really know her. So he didn't give much about Brittany, his new romance. But he did say this. He kept mentioning Tennessee. He said, shout out to the great state of Tennessee. And I know that he has purchased property here. I currently am in Nashville. So this is what, my ears kind of perked up to. So the rumors are now circulating that Aaron Rodgers could sign with the Titans. Please, God, no. Please. No, 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 no. Can we poll the audience here? Am I out of line? I don't think I want Aaron Rodgers for the Titans.
I don't know. You sure have been talking about him a lot. Sounds like you enjoyed the interview yesterday on Pat McAfee. You live in the great state of Tennessee. I don't know. For someone who claims not to want Aaron Rodgers, you sure seem to be interested in his personal life. Maybe deep down you want Aaron Rodgers. Maybe deep down you need Aaron Rodgers and you don't want to admit it to yourself.
Spin zone, Jenks. You talk about Taylor Swift a lot.
No,
Does
I
that
don't.
mean that you...
No, I don't. You bring her up and then you force me to talk about it like I'm at Guantanamo Bay. That's how that works.
I mean, you and the lovely Catherine, I'm sure, have talked about Taylor Swift a lot because she is a Taylor Swift fan. But the point I'm making is that you can talk about somebody a lot without wanting them on your team. Because even if Aaron Rodgers, I didn't agree with his personality and I don't agree with some of his views, if he was playing quarterback at a high level right now, I would want him on my team. Like, wouldn't you say the same? Like, if you guys didn't have Jaden Daniels and the amazing quarterback that he is, if you were mired in the Washington funnel of quarterback misery that you guys were in before, and Aaron Rodgers was playing really good football, would you want him on your team?
Yeah, there are some players where, I feel like Bryce Harper fits this mold, and maybe it's not an apt comparison, but there's some players who, when they're on your team, you appreciate their athletic talent, you appreciate their resume, and you appreciate what they bring to your franchise, but you don't necessarily love them and embrace them. You embrace them because they're a part of your team, but if they go elsewhere, you're like, whatever. Try to help us win. You're like a mercenary. So I feel like Aaron Rodgers is that guy, and it wouldn't have been that way a few years ago. I feel like this narrative shift with him has definitely happened over the past few years as he's gone on Pat McAfee, as he's shared more of his views, as he's become more outspoken. Even though he says, I don't want the attention, there's a documentary about him, Enigma, whatever. But there are some athletes who aren't really warm and fuzzy, and you appreciate the talent, but you're not necessarily going to embrace them for who they are. Some players, some athletes are embraced by a franchise. You know what I mean? Everybody loves who they are and what they bring to the table. Others just bring athleticism and maybe a winning mentality. Maybe they're winners, but you don't really love them like you love other guys who maybe you relate to a little bit more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's not somebody you want to run and give a big hug to.
Right.
But the thing is, if they're playing at a high level, because Aaron Rodgers once was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, you put up with the nonsense in order to get the high-level talent. We see this in the NBA all the time, and just about every sport. Even if you're a crazy person and you do all this wild nonsense, if you put out a good product on the field, people are going to put up with a lot if you're a true talent. But, I guess the opposite of that would be like the locker room guy, like the clubhouse guy, where maybe he's not the best and maybe he's a journeyman, but he's somebody that you can count on. And the guys are going to kind of rally around him, pointing at Jameis Winston. Maybe he's going to throw 1,000 picks, but at least people like him. And he doesn't have the legal ramifications that Deshaun Watson has. So, if Aaron Rodgers was playing well this year, I would say, sure, we'll take him. But he's getting older. The play is just not there this year. So no, Aaron, please don't move here. We don't want you. We already have one bad quarterback, and his name is Will Levis. So we're going to stick with that one. All right, so speaking of the Jets, they play on Sunday against the Bills. This is the biggest spread of the week, I believe. Bills laying 10. Maybe this is 9.5 in some places. So if you do like the Bills, definitely shop around. Total of 47 in this one. So the Bills had a bit of a scare against the Patriots. This is another divisional battle, but I feel like this one goes differently. I feel like the Bills will not look flat 2 weeks in a row. Is this a square way to think?
No, I don't think so. I'm kind of with you here. But I also think that 10 points is a lot.
Yeah.
Like, as good as the Bills are, and here's the thing about the Jets, they're a losing they're not going anywhere, but I kind of think they can hang within 10 points of the Bills. And they're going into Buffalo. I know that, we're just talking about Aaron Rodgers and what a disappointing season this has been in the Meadowlands, but a double-digit spread, I see double digits on the board, and I just get nervous. Do you know what I mean? Where I think the Bills probably respond this week, and they're still in the hunt. It's an outside shot. Still in the hunt for the number 1 seed in the AFC. Probably going to go to the Chiefs. But they have to win. They don't necessarily have to make a statement. I think they probably do, but 10 points. And I will say, Aaron Rodgers has played better in the latter half of the season. The Jets overall haven't. But if you look at his connection with Devontae Adams or Garrett Wilson, those connections have sort of come alive compared to what we saw early on. And it's just that as a team, they haven't really put it together. But I don't know if I want to lay 10. This is one of those games where I'd say, maybe I look at other games on the board.
Yeah, I think this is one maybe you just don't touch. Because I understand divisional battle, 10 points, feels like a lot. But after watching some of the miscues in the Jets and Rams game last week, it's wild to me, the connection that you would think Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams have. And the numbers looked like they were there. Devontae Adams had 68 or 69 yards receiving. But there were still routes in which it looked like they were not on the same page. It's December and we're still going through this. I understand Devontae Adams hasn't been on the team the entire time, but they played together before. It's wild that sometimes the chemistry still isn't there. And then the way that they mismanage things, going for it on 4th down and bad spots. And then there was a guy who I think fumbled the kick return. And then you give the Rams another shot. So teams that make those type of mental errors are kind of hard to trust for me. So I think either, take the Bills in a teaser, you take them in Survivor, which I think I'm going to be doing, or you play them in some other way, but maybe just leave this game alone. All right, so games with shorter spreads, because I will say there's a ton of 3s, 5.5, 5.5s, 4s. There's not a ton of big spreads this week. It looks like the Bills are one of the very few. Packers, Vikings. Jenks, this looks like it's going to be a great game. Vikings laying 1.5. Maybe you don't bet on this one, but I feel like this is one you probably need to watch. And we talked about this in the opening segment. Normally, you would not want to take a team off a short week who played on Monday night and then has to play a tough divisional battle on the road on a Sunday. But the Packers, it feels like they, could sleepwalk last night and still were up, by multiple touchdowns. That was barely a game between the Packers and the Saints last night. So Vikings favorites in this one. Who do you think wins?
I have to say, I kind of like the Vikings here, believe it or not. It is a short week for the Packers. I know it was easy work against the Saints. I get that. I still feel like that we're not giving any credit to Sam Darnold, and I know we've talked about this. Even when I was working with the Commanders on Monday, I kept hearing, what do you think about Sam Darnold? I'm like, dude, it's week 17. How much more proof do you need? He has 32 touchdowns, 11 picks, and then that pass he made to Justin Jefferson last week, he's being pressured, steps up in the pocket. He's got 2 deep guys surrounding Justin Jefferson, and he puts that football the only place it can be for the Vikings to go ahead and win that game. The Vikings have a very good defense as well. And now we see Christian Watson banged up for the Packers. I think this might be the time when the Vikings get the dub here, and maybe we take them a little more seriously. I think most people are coming around, but you know how it is. You still hear people who buy into an old narrative, even if that narrative has been shattered. Sam Darnold has been awesome this season, and you know if he was a problem, don't you know Justin Jefferson would be saying something? We know how receivers are. They're all divas. When they're not getting the football, when they're not happy, you hear about it. Everybody's happy, but nobody's paying attention to the Vikings because of the Lions and the division in which they play. I like the Vikings in this game.
I mean, it looks like a coin flip to me. You know, that's what the spread indicates. And we've already seen this matchup once this season. It was back on September 29th. So I don't know how much you take away from that one. The Vikings were up big in this one. I think they were up like 28-7 at halftime. So the Green Bay Packers were kind of in a pickle. They had to throw the ball a ton. But they did come back. This game was 31-29. That was the final score of that one in Green Bay. I don't know. I feel like this is not one that I want to bet on, but simply one that I will enjoy watching. So maybe I'll do just that. Raiders Saints, good God. No, thank you. Even though a total of 40, like if you play anything in that game, you have to hit the under, right?
Do you? Do you even have to play it? This game, just the mentioning, just the mere mention of Raiders Saints. My heart. It turned me into a Grinch. No. Give us a pick. I'll never tell you.
You're like a kid being with his parent in line at the DMV.
No.
Just go limp and you get dragged across the floor. Yeah.
Chelsea's like, give us a pick. It's the under. No.
I won't. Never.
I won't. I'll never do it. Pick a side. Saints or Raiders? No. I guess the under. I guess. These teams are garbage. If you're watching like Raiders...
the fruitcake of the bunch, right? Like, if we even mentioned fruitcake on the show, I saw that at the store yesterday. Does anybody like fruitcake? It looks so disgusting. It is the equivalent of Raider Saints here.
Oh, God. I'd rather have a fruitcake. I'd rather have a moldy fruitcake than watch Raiders Saints. Raiders Saints? Yeah. Wait, I just want to make sure I get this right. Is this the Spencer Rattler Desmond Ritter game?
Ooh, boy.
Ooh, fire it up. Fire up the Yule log. You're going to need therapy. You're going to watch Raiders Saints. That's my handicap. Don't watch this game. Oh, God.
Well, here's my handicap. A loaf of fruitcake scored the same amount of points last night as the New Orleans Saints. 0.
Big old, you got a big old fruitcake on the board. Big old 0. Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I can say about this game is that the Saints are favored. Like, no team should be favored in this game. There shouldn't be a favorite in this game.
You know what they should do?
Both be underdogs.
You should look at this on the schedule, and they should just put canceled on it. You know? It's like, why? Give these guys, schedule your vacation. Go on a break. Means nothing. Like, this game means nothing, right? Am I missing some sort of weirdo playoff implication? Like, if the Saints, win by 6, the Rams win a tiebreaker or something stupid? No. Like, this game is just... They need to cancel this. You know what? In fact, Roger Goodell wants to expand the NFL. Play this game in Belgium or something. You know what I mean? Just take it out of the States so we don't have to watch it.
All right. Maybe that's enough harping on the Raiders and the Saints. But listen, they deserve it. They're both terrible. Other games on the slate on Sunday. So we have Colts-Giants, which, God, the Giants kind of fit in that tier of teams as well, where they're terrible. They have 2 wins on the season. Colts 7.5-point favorites. The only thing I'm going to say about this game is that Jonathan Taylor does appear in fact back. Had over 100 rushing yards in the first half against my Titans last week. And I feel like since he dropped the ball like a yard short of the end zone the game before that, he has, really refocused his energy. And I think people forget Jonathan Taylor used to be one of the premier running backs in the NFL. He was mentioned with the likes of Derrick Henry, and it was him and Derrick Henry who were the kings of the running back crew. So I think this is, how you base your handicap on the Colts. If they can run the football, you don't have to trust Anthony Richardson that much. This is a 7.5-point spread, but I think I'd lean towards the Colts. Jenks, do you have anything to say on this game? I understand it's not, one of the best on the card.
Yeah, I think Jonathan Taylor was great in Home Improvement, too.
JTT.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas. It's close. That's close. I was close. All right, good thing we're going to break.
Tim Taylor would love how the Lions are doing right now. All right, we got to get to break. Teaser time next on the Daily Tip.
Hey, this is Brad Evans. Join me on BetMGM tonight alongside Ryan Horvat, weekdays 7 to 11 Eastern, only on the BetQL network. Sledgehammer me!
Let's get back to the Daily Tip with Chelsea Messenger and Michael Jenkins on the BetQL Network, presented by BetMGM. The sportsbook born in Vegas. Download the app today. Please gamble responsibly.
Welcome back. Off and rolling. It is Tuesday, December 24th. You're right. Christmas is tomorrow. So if you haven't done your last minute shopping, I would advise you probably make a plan to do that. Jenks, I did some last minute shopping yesterday.
Yeah?
I went to Walmart and I totally regret going to Walmart. It was an absolute madhouse. This time of year, like, it's so magical, and you have Christmas lights and all the, spirit of the season, but there's also some like not so great things about it. Like, number one, shopping is terrible. Traffic is a nightmare. And Bill just told us that American Airlines has this like huge delay where they're not like doing any flights right now. I will say this. I am very thankful that I am not traveling for Christmas.
Oh my God, me too. I can't even imagine right now. Because even when a flight goes well, it's still a flight. Like, it never really goes great. There's always some passenger who's unruly, or there's a delay, or you can't find your bag, or there's turbulence or whatever. Like, it's hard to have a great flight experience naturally. And now, when the airport's just going to be a stress case and there's going to be lines everywhere and you have a delay, oh my God, yes. After this, I'm going to get some breakfast. I'm going to go home. I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to pour myself a cocktail. I'm going to put on some Christmas music. And the celebration will begin. So if you're at the airport listening to this show, and you know what? We had someone on X, what was it, a few days ago, say, I'm at the airport. I'm listening to you guys. First of all, we appreciate it. Second of all, Godspeed. Oh, that sounds awful.
Good night and good luck to anybody traveling this time of year. And here's the thing, like, it wouldn't even be that bad, but everybody's in like such bad mood. When there's so many people at the airport, there's nowhere to sit, and you can just feel like the stress emanating through your like little interactions with people. So I feel like stress is one of those things that is contagious. Like, even being at Walmart last night, I felt like the stress from other people was getting to me. So please, for the love of God, I hope you've already done your Christmas shopping. Maybe don't go to like the big box stores. Because I will say, I picked up some last minute gifts at Cracker Barrel, and there was nobody there. They have like all the old timey candy that I love getting for Blake's stocking stuffers. It's so fun. They have like Big League Chew. Remember that? Like the gum that's supposed to be like dip.
Hell yes. Big League Chew is the best. When I was playing Little League Baseball, I'd dip into that Big League Chew like it was chaw. I'd put it right in there. Checking out what's going on, getting ready to go out in the field. Oh, it was awesome. You're trying to emulate Major League Baseball players, and then in the end, you're just like chewing it up. Big League Chew is the bomb. Is that still around? Is it? Oh, God.
Yeah, I got some. Here's the other thing that I think you will appreciate. I got Blake some candy cigarettes.
Yes. Yes. Hell yes. Christmas came early. Blake, you fire up that fake heater. I know it's been a long year for you. You go outside, you and Mama. I hope Christmas is good this year. Yeah, me too. Oh, yes. Way to go. Now that's great parenting.
Ooh, this is going to be our Christmas card for next year. It's going to be Blake like puffing on that like fake cigarette and be like, ooh, can the Chiefs really cover the money line again? I don't know, Mama.
And then you take it up a level, right? Guess what I got, Blake? Mock cocaine.
Oh, no.
Vikings money line. Come on, let's go. Merry Christmas, everyone.
That's a different character entirely, right? Like the demographic that smokes cigs, and then the demographic that does like, the fake snow.
Yeah, I probably should have peeled back on that a little bit. We'll just stick with the fake cigarettes. What are they called? Like the Pell Mell. Remember that? Like the fake names? The cool with the K, I think it is. Those old school things.
I think that's the actual cigarettes, right? Cool.
Is it the other way?
Wasn't that a brand?
Yeah. Oh, it is a brand. I might have it backwards. But
you bought the Cools and they're actual cigarettes.
Oh my God.
It's so funny to me that they were allowed to name them that.
I know, right? Like, oh, I got her. I made a mistake. You just go to your husband and say, honey, I'm sorry. I know. Remember when I talked about getting Blake those fake cigarettes? I got a little confused, and she's actually smoking outside right now. She has fired up one. She is ready to go. That nicotine high is going to last for a while. She's 5. She's 5, right?
Yeah, it's really addictive. It's my nicotine patches next Christmas. All right. What a turn. What a turn the show has been. We have a running joke here on the Daily Tip that we talk about smoking a ton. Just because that's the type of people we are. The moral compass of the BetQL network. That's why people tune in to us here on the Daily Tip. All right, Jenk. So it's Tuesday, and we're right on schedule here. So normally on Tuesdays, we do my teaser. So let's throw to it now.
Chelsea is such a teaser.
All right. So if you find money lines tricky, if you find point spreads a little too risky for your regard, I've got you covered. What you do is you play teasers. You get 6 points in your favor to add to any spread or total. I would advise using the spreads because especially this time of year, it feels like the spreads are way sharper because this is what you're doing. You're playing into the sharpness of Vegas and saying, okay, if these lines are so razor sharp, if you give me 6 points in each direction, it feels like it takes some of the chaos out of it. And I know it sounds maybe easier than it is, but these have been pretty good for me lately. So we're going to continue to ride these teasers. So Jenks, I'm going to give you my options for a teaser this week. And you tell me who ruins my teaser. So leg number 1, we kind of touched on this earlier. I'm a big fan of teams that are kind of on the rebound and teams that now have their star player performing at a high level. So that's what's going on with the Indianapolis Colts. I'm not going to say I'm a fan of the Colts because I hate the Colts. They play in the AFC South with my Titans, but the Colts are laying 8 on the road at the Giants this week. I feel like the Giants belong in that super bottom rung of NFL teams. So you tease the 8, you get it down to -2. What Jonathan Taylor's been doing, people forget. He was once one of the premier running backs in the NFL. He looked more like his old self last week against my Titans. Had over 100 rush yards in the first half alone. So we're going to go Colts -2 on the road at the Giants. Next up, maybe this is the one that you don't like because I know you're big on the Chargers this week. So the Patriots at home getting 4 points against the Chargers. If you put it in a teaser, though, you get 6 points, it's up to +10.
Oh.
I feel like the Chargers are not built right now to blow out teams. I think the loss of J.K. Dobbins is a big one to their run game. I think Justin Herbert and company can certainly win this game, but what we've seen from Drake May, I think this team can at least keep it close. So we're going to go Patriots at home +10 against the Chargers. And finally, I kind of like this one outright, so obviously I'm going to add it to the teaser as well. Broncos +3.5 on the road at the Bengals. So we know the story with the Bengals. Joe Burrow is amazing, but the defense is not. I feel like Sean Payton and company can get this team to keep it at least close. The teaser line is 9.5. Broncos +9.5 at the Bengals. I think this is a solid look. So here's your teaser legs. Colts -2, Patriots +10, Broncos +9.5. Jenks, who ruins my teaser?
I don't know. Maybe the Chargers. I know you don't think they're built to blow out teams, but just 2 weeks ago, Cardinals beat the Patriots by 13. 2 weeks before that, Patriots lost to the Dolphins by what? God, I'm bad at math. 19. So I understand that the Chargers aren't really built like the Dolphins or the Cardinals necessarily, but it's this really, to me, the thing that scares me about this teaser is this. It's not that the Chargers are necessarily dynamic, but the Patriots are on pace for their first or their worst record since like 1992 or something, like when they won 2 games. And there's a possibility that if things go wrong for them, it could turn into a blowout. So it's not, to me, I look at it from a different perspective. Yeah, the Chargers aren't dynamic enough to just go off, but if things go wrong for the Patriots, go really wrong, they could lose by more than 10.
Okay, so I have some other options. If you want to kick the Patriots out, I had some runners up. This line doesn't make like a ton of sense to me, so maybe I need to beware. But the Cardinals are getting 6 on the road at the Rams. Normally, I try to do teaser legs that go through a bunch of key numbers. Maybe this doesn't fit that bill, but the Cardinals would be plus 12 on the road at the Rams. Do we like that one better?
I like that better because I like that one because it's a divisional game as well.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about teams that know each other really well, like I can see the Rams covering that number, winning that game. But 12 points is a lot for a divisional game. And also, you're talking about a talented Cardinals team. I know they're coming off a really bad loss to the Panthers, but that's a Cardinals team talented enough to stay within that many points as opposed to the Patriots, which this is just a bad football team. So if things go wrong again, then it could be blowout city. I like that better. But then again, Chelsea, you are the teaser expert. You won a ton of these teasers. I'm just, throwing some ideas out there. So you go with what you feel.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I didn't feel super strongly about this week's teaser. Like, certain weeks, I like teasers more than the other ones. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm lukewarm on a lot of the options because I feel like there were, a lot of, options this week. Like, I was thinking about the Bills. Bills are laying 10. You could get them down to 4 against the Jets. I do think it's a good bounce back spot. Maybe that's a good teaser leg. And hold your breath for this one. Okay. But, just by the book strategy-wise, I feel like it would be a good leg. The Raiders and the Saints. The Raiders Chelsea are getting a point. If you put them in a teaser, they're getting 7 points. The total in this game is 39.5. So just based on the math alone, should the Saints be laying points against anybody? Probably not. I understand that the Raiders are really bad too, but God, 2 bad teams.
Ooh, I didn't hear what you said, and honestly, I'm kind of thankful for that. You were talking about the Raiders.
Oh. And honestly, we thank you for that.
Sorry.
Basically, what I'm saying is, the Raiders and the Saints, 2 bad teams. You put in a teaser.
Right.
The Raiders are getting 7. The total is 39.5. I don't really trust either of these teams to score more than 14 points. So, just by theory alone, it's not going in the teaser. But if I had some stones, maybe I would throw it in there. All right, coming up next, it's hour 3 of the Daily Tip. We'll start off with the handicaps for the Christmas Day games. If you're busy, we've done the homework. Next on the Daily Tip.
Chelsea and Jenks will be right back on the Daily Tip on the BetQL Network, presented by BetMGM on the Sportsbook born in Vegas. Download the app today. Please gamble responsibly.
All right. Hope you're having a great Christmas Eve. The Daily Tip from BetQL, presented by BetMGM. Ho, 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 ho. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Coming up in our final hour, we will look ahead to both games on the schedule tomorrow as the NFL tries to take over Christmas Day. At 8:20, we'll ask the question, which players or teams belong on the nice list and which ones are on the naughty list? And we haven't forgotten about our best bets, those and the Donkster at 8:40. So, Chelsea, we were talking about last-minute Christmas shopping, and I almost blew it yesterday because I had never experienced this before. So I've done all my Christmas shopping. Like, I'm good to go. But I was sitting on the couch with the lovely Catherine like 2 days ago, and she's scrolling through Instagram, and she shows me something from Sephora, like some sort of lip gloss, makeup, something that she really liked. And she wasn't really saying it like, I want this, because we're both done. She was like, doesn't this look cool? I was like, yeah, that is cool. She goes, oh, I could wear this. It's pretty cool, right? I was like, yeah. That was it. So I tried to take mental notes. And like, oh, I don't know if I can remember that. And I was like, you know what? It's a Christmas spirit. It's almost Christmas Eve. I wonder if I can just get that on a whim. It would totally surprise her. She wouldn't expect it. But I'd have to get it delivered overnight. That might be too much. So I found it online, and I looked, and it had same-day delivery for like $7. And same-day delivery is, for $7, pretty cheap. And
Yeah.
the reason why is there's a Sephora right here in D.C., so they just delivered it from that Sephora. But here's the kicker. They delivered it via DoorDash. So DoorDash called me last night. They're like, delivery? I'm like, I didn't order anything. They're like, and there was a language barrier. He's like, he said, no comprehendo. I was like, I did not order DoorDash.
Oh, no.
And he just didn't understand. I go, I'll come down. So I went down, and he's holding a Sephora bag. So I got it just in time. And, of course, Catherine peeks her head out. She's like, what is he getting from Sephora? She doesn't know, but she knows it's something that's probably not for me. But so that was not great. However, I would like to know next time that same-day delivery from a place that sells makeup, for example, is coming via DoorDash. That caught me off guard. I almost blew it and almost told him just to go away.
So now it feels like they're freelancing, where they're picking up for other things, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same service. It's just for makeup.
Right.
I think the funniest thing you could do would be have the Sephora bag like on the counter. And then she's like, what did you get for Sephora? And you pull out like this lip kit or whatever it is. I'm like, see, you were telling me about this lip kit, and then you start putting it on. Like, it's for me.
Yeah, I mean, like, you were talking about how cool this was, so I did some research. And and especially in the winter, like, this is going to keep my lips so moist. So, hey, thanks for the inspo. She'd be like, all right, I don't know if I want to marry you at all.
That would be so funny, though,
Switch
because
it
you
on her.
can spin it as you are on like a visual medium. Like if
Yeah.
you're on TVs, if you're on broadcasts of any sort, even though you're male, there are plenty of men who wear makeup because you just have to for the media.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Isn't that the running joke on like SportsCenter? The SVP always says, we are men wearing makeup talking about sports. So you just can't get around it. So you could spin it that way.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm wearing makeup right now. You don't want to see me with all these bright lights on me. You know, I'm old. You don't want to see that. I mean, you almost have to, because these lights, I mean, these are serious lights. And then, of course, when you're waking up,
Right.
I woke up at 3:52 this morning, you get bags under your eyes. So just to, you're in a visual medium, that's part of it. But I should have pulled that one. That's what I should have done. It's a good idea. I think you're done. You're right. Hey, listen, if if I get bored with this, we can go sharesies and I'll just give it to you.
What's mine is yours, baby.
We're in it together. So you're done, though, right? Like, I know you have things to do. You have chores to do. You have a pot roast to make and then send me. But do you have any shopping to do last second, like at the local Walmart that you live behind?
Yes. The Walmart in my backyard. No, I did it all last night.
Okay.
Luckily, my dad met me at the place, because here's the problem I had.
Okay.
I wanted to get this, gaming chair for Jake at Walmart,
Okay.
but I couldn't lift it by myself. And,
Oh.
Walmart has, 3 total workers who are, at the store. There's like 1,000 people at Walmart and there's never anybody there to help you. So I had to call my dad and I was like, Dad, can you please help me lift this chair at Walmart before Jake gets off work?
Yeah.
So we had to do this. And now here's how I dropped the ball. So this chair is huge and it comes in a box. You have to put it together. I can't even get it up the stairs and it's certainly not going to fit under the Christmas tree. So the surprise is ruined. Jake saw it in the garage. Christmas is canceled.
Oh, no. Take it back. Christmas is canceled. No pot roast on the docket for Christmas. It's just going to be chicken salad, no gifts. Blake smoking out back. Oh, man. What a bummer. Things took a terrible turn at the local Walmart there in Hendersonville. I'm so sorry.
It's just like you want like the whole presentation of your gift to be in line with what you normally think. Like, I was like, oh, I'm going to wrap it. No, the wrapping paper is too small to like wrap this box. And then like, I can't even lift it. It doesn't fit under the tree. So like, just the surprise is ruined. But I do think he'll like his gift because right now he has this chair because my workroom doubles as his gaming room because obviously, you know, he needs to have his gaming system. So he has this like foldable chair that like people bring to like youth soccer games to play his video games in. So like, I'm a cool wife. I'm going to get him a cool gaming chair. But then I couldn't even get it out of the garage. So I tried.
Well, it was a valiant effort. You're a good wife. I mean, you're a great mom. You let your daughter smoke. That's incredible. So I feel like you're crushing it. Yeah. I don't, you know, I know it's tough.
Gentle
but I feel like
parenting. That's what that term means.
well, give me a gentle pick, if you will. Just a soft lean. Doesn't have to be your official play on a couple of these games tomorrow. Chiefs and Steelers. How about this? Chiefs laying 3. Chiefs are minus 155. The Steelers are plus 125. Your total is 43 and a hook. This open Chiefs minus 2.5. We've seen the Chiefs go up on the money line as well. It was minus 135. Total has gone up a point. The Chiefs, with a victory, can lock up the number 1 seed in the AFC. I feel like most bettors are going to say, are you kidding me? Chiefs, less than a field goal, now at a field goal. I'm all over Kansas City, and I kind of feel like that's what's happening.
Yeah, if you look at the money over at BetMGM, 77% of the money line bets on Kansas City and 58% of the bets on the spread are on the Chiefs. So maybe some people interested in the Steelers now that it's gotten to 3. I think the key here is how healthy is George Pickens? Because we've seen a big difference with the Steelers offense when they have George Pickens and when they do not have him. Because he is their deep ball threat. If you can get the ball down the field, like Russell Wilson, you know, one of his trademarks when he was at the peak of his career, or hell, even this year with the Steelers, is when he throws those moon balls down the field. And it really adds a dynamic to the offense that can keep the defenses honest. You know, when you're not playing in a tight box, it makes it harder to defend. So now that George Pickens is looking like he's going to be back, he was a full participant at practice this week. We even have props for George Pickens over at BetMGM, which makes me think that he's going to play. Some of his props are actually pretty high. 61.5 is the number for him. Not sure if I would bet on that, especially somebody coming off the injured list. But as far as this game goes, do you really want to bet against the Chiefs? Like, I understand at some point they're going to lose one of these close games, but like, I'm not going to go against them. So I think that maybe you could make a strong case for the Steelers getting 3 points simply because the Chiefs have played in all these close games. But like, I don't think I'm going to be putting my own money on it.
Oh, I don't want to bet a side here because I feel like that when it comes to betting on the Chiefs, look, I am not going to fade Patrick Mahomes. I have learned my lesson again and again and again and again, right? Like sometimes you got to take a hard lesson and learn it, and I have done that. I will say at the same time, 3 games in 11 days is really, really difficult, even for the best of teams, right? So you're going on the road, your 3rd game in 11 days. That would be my case for the Steelers. So I really don't want to touch a side. I like the under in a big way here because I think Kansas City is going to be really tired. I mentioned how many games they played in such a short period of time. Also, I think we see an upgrade from Russell Wilson as opposed to what we saw last week when he was turning the ball over I think the Steelers just want to control time of possession, keep the Chiefs off the field, and look at the defenses in this game. Steelers 7th in total defense, Chiefs 3rd in total defense. Pittsburgh, as a home dog outside of the division, 8-2 to the under in their last 10. So I would lean to the under here.
I think it makes a lot of sense. Like, maybe I'm a little snake bitten because I thought the under in the Steelers-Ravens game was an excellent call and it didn't go in that direction. I think a lot of this kind of hinges on what we see from the Steelers offense. Is it a little better, but they have a really tough defensive matchup going against the Chiefs? Because that's been their calling card this year, which is wild to say when Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback. From a props perspective, I think the Chiefs are one of those teams that are tough to bet because when you have a really good quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, he can spread the ball around. Like, he is not over-reliant on one receiver alone. I will say Xavier Worthy coming off a big game last time around against the Texans, 7 catches, 65 yards. He was the leading receiver. But you look at, the target share. Normally the guys that I want to bet on in the props world are the guys that have, a stranglehold on all of the targets. And Patrick Mahomes just spreads the ball around too good.
Yeah.
Or too well, I should say. Maybe you look at George Pickens, because I will say the Texans, Tank Dell before he got hurt, 98 yards receiving in that game against the Chiefs. But I don't know. This game is just kind of a pass for me.
I hear you. That's maybe just one of those games you want to sit back and enjoy on Christmas Day while you're having some pot roast. What about Ravens-Texans? How about that? Ravens now, 5.5-point favorites. Ravens are minus 225 on the money line. The Texans are plus 185. Your total is 46 and a hook. I thought this line was too short because it was Ravens minus 4 yesterday. Tons of money coming in on Baltimore. And I did have a great stat, which is the Ravens are 9-2 against the number in their last 11 games as a road favorite of 4 points or less. But now it's not 4 points or less, so throw that out the window now. Would you still lay 5.5 with Baltimore? I think I would.
Throw it out the window along with the rest of Christmas because I couldn't surprise my husband. But Jenks, here's how you can use that stat. If you do the little play that I'm cooking up, that's the conservative way to play the Ravens, or at least that's how I feel. You play the Ravens in the first half money line, and you combine it with the full game money line. That way you say, okay, the Ravens are good at winning games that are close, and the spreads are close. So, the spread essentially is 0. You just need them to win the game. And here's the other thing. The Ravens have been one of the best teams in the first half at scoring points in the NFL. The 3rd most points per game in the first half, averaging 14.7 points per game. And, the Texans offense, we haven't talked about this a ton, but it does feel like Houston has been a bit underwhelming this year. You look at the numbers for C.J. Stroud, and I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm just saying that it's not the progression that I think people were hoping for after such an amazing rookie season. 19 touchdowns, 11 picks, completion percentage so far this season of, I believe, 63%, which is not a great number when you're looking for stats for quarterbacks. So I think that I'll go Ravens full game and first half money line. You can do those both for minus 140.
Ooh, I think I like that. You got me thinking about that one. I mean, you talked me into the Jordan Love under attempts last night. That was a winner. You talked me into Texas money line, Notre Dame money line before the weekend. That was a winner. Maybe I'll just tell you here. I think that's the way to go. That's a really good handicap. And you're very good at coming up with creative ways. Like I'm very basic when it comes to betting. I'm like, is it a side or a total? Maybe you look at a player prop. But when it comes to first halves or looking at maybe nuanced ways of making a bet, that's not really my strength. So that's why I just lean on you and let you do it for me.
Oh, poor old Jenks, who's only 8-0 in his last 8 picks. Oh, stupid old Jenks. Sandbagging again. That's why we love you, Jenks. You're always sandbagging. Say, oh, I'm just a simple man. A simple man that's gone 8-0. Save it.
Knock on wood. We'll see. We'll see. See if I can keep it going. Guys, guess what? It's the holiday season. So coming up next, we're going to make our survivor picks. We're going to tell you which players, teams are on the naughty list, the nice list. Got the Donkster over here. Raj gave me a remote for no real reason, a few minutes ago. Oh, yeah. Everything's trending in our direction. All of that coming up next on the Daily Tip for BetQL. It is presented by BetMGM, and that is when we come back.
Hey, it's Sammy P. Join me and Joe Ostrowski on BetQL Daily, weekday mornings at 9 Eastern, where we look to give you the insider edge and insights to help you make smarter bets.
Welcome back to the Daily Tip, presented by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Download the app today with Michael Jenkins and Chelsea Messenger on the BetQL network.
Show. La, la, la. Let's go. Oh, God. I heard myself. I'm like, maybe you don't sing again, Michael. How about you not do that? Fa la 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 la. That wasn't good. Coming up on the show, we're going to tell you who's on the naughty list, the nice list, before we make our Survivor pick. She's Chelsea Messenger. I'm Michael Jenkins. Welcome back on this Christmas Eve. Thanks for being with us. Hope you have great plans, wonderful plans for the holiday. Spend time with your friends, family, whoever that may be. Enjoy your time. Maybe make some bets while you're at it. Well, we have a naughty and nice list here. We're going to get into that. And then also, we're going to dip our toe into the Survivor pool because we're not going to be here on our normal days to do it. So we'll do that before the weekend. Also, I just want to say thanks to Roger. Now, if you're just now tuning into the show, maybe recently, Raj is a legend here at the Odyssey Studios in this building because Raj handles everything technical. If there's a problem, Raj handles it. This morning I walked in, Raj, I've seen him solder a television from behind, like the circuit board. I've seen him go into where all of the electronics are housed and work on something to get a signal out over the air. And this morning I walk in and Raj is filling up the coffee machine, okay? Now I walk in this morning and Raj says, well, we've upgraded FiOS. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. I think it means that we have Verizon FiOS and they've upgraded their systems. So he said something about pairing the new remotes. And I said, well, good luck, Raj. So I go up to the bathroom. This is earlier, where he told me all about Verizon FiOS. And then I go up to the bathroom. Half an hour later, Raj is carrying a bag of remotes. And he says, do you want a remote? Go ahead, take one. Look, it's brand new. It's wrapped up in cellophane. I go, sure, Raj. So now I have a remote. What am I going to do with this remote? I don't know. Maybe it replaces one of the ones here. I don't know how to pair it, but I just want to say thank you to Raj for being a daily inspiration and also for an early Christmas gift, my early FiOS remote.
Ah, yes, a huge part of the Daily Tip lore.
Yes.
If you're looking like supporting cast members of the show, Raj is definitely one of them. But getting a remote that goes to nothing. I know that you're pretty good at tech stuff, but are you somebody who feels like you can take this remote and like somehow pair it to whatever device that you want? Yes. I feel like I'm definitely not in that.
I think that we have some old school, I believe, FiOS remotes here. Right here, okay? So I think what will happen is at some point, if I so choose, if we don't need to do this, I'm not messing with it, honestly. But I will keep this here, and if we have an issue with the upgrade, I will do my best to pair this remote. I'll probably be able to do it with a little research. Now, I wish Raj would come in here and do it for me. I mean, that'd be nicer. Right? But, you know, who am I to complain? It's a free remote.
I wish that they did things that you could use a remote for that it feels like they only do them for like electronic devices.
Yeah.
I feel like it'd be cool to get a remote that closes the door or like does things like that. Yeah. Like manual tasks where, you know, you have like some type of contraption. I don't know how it works. Or maybe like some type of like Home Alone contraption where you open the door and like a bucket of paint spills out. I don't know. Maybe you can use it for pranks or maybe you use it as a prop. You know, if somebody's talking, you just go mute. Mute. That's what you should do.
Yeah, I'll be like, Chelsea, boring. Click. All right, I get it, Donkster. Click. Yes, I know about the Falcons, Double D. Mute.
Like, what do you think people's reaction would be if you did that at a bar? If somebody came up and was like talking to you and you're just like sipping your like cocktail and you're just like, mute. Like, what do you think their reaction would be? Like, don't explain it at all.
Oh, man. That's a good question. You'd probably be kicked out at some point. Like, I need you to stop muting people, sir. Well, I think if you...
It doesn't actually work.
Well, no, but I mean, I'm not saying that it would work. I'm saying if you were at a bar, right, and it's a busy bar, and you're carrying a remote, and you're looking at people going, mute, sorry, don't want to hear it, mute. Like, eventually I feel like the staff would be like, hey, Like, knock yourself out, enjoy yourself. Stop pointing this remote at people and saying, mute, I don't want to listen to you. Like, you're distracting everyone. You're making it worse for everyone. Maybe.
Or better, if the person's really annoying, maybe you're doing a service to the bar.
But
you know how, speaking of daily tip lore, we used to have an 8-ball on the show. In fact, it's right here. And Jenks, do you know how I had like the 8-ball in the back of my mind? Because I used to bring it to bars and I would ask people, I'd say, hey, you want to ask the 8-ball something? And it was a huge hit. So, props at bars, not always the worst thing.
Well, that's true. I will also say for the record that, hey, ask the 8-ball a question is a lot more fun than I'm tired of listening to you, mute. Like, those are two very different types of prompts that you're using there. Okay, naughty or nice list, Chelsea. Let's start with the naughty list. Who's on your naughty list?
Oh, are we talking about against the spread or just like in general?
Can be both. Now, we have a lot of teams here. Bill, let's put in the work. We have best teams against the spread, worst teams against the spread, best NFL teams to the over this season. You can choose naughty or nice there. I have one choice for the naughty list, which is on this list. Or you can go off book if you want. It's your call. It's Christmas Eve.
Oh.
Knock yourself out.
I was like, do you mean like contractors? Or like people who don't use their turn signal?
You can do that.
Talking about football here.
Sure.
The naughty list has to be my Titans, right?
Oh, I was going to say it too.
Because here's the thing. It is one thing to have a terrible season, but it's another to have a terrible season and not even cover the number, which means the market was even too low on you. Nobody expected you to do big things. You had the longest odds to win your division of any team in the AFC South, and you still finished 2-13 so far. We haven't won a single home game. Like the Titans, here's the thing. I understand that it's kind of a rebuilding year where you have a new head coach in Brian Callahan and you have a quarterback who's young in Will Levis. Nobody expected the Titans to win the Super Bowl this year, but they did sign big guys, guys who are big names. They signed Calvin Ridley to a big time contract. They signed, Lloyd Cushenberry, the center, to a big contract.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a team that wasn't spending money and fully was waving the white flag before the season. So as a team that used to have Mike Vrabel, who was, his calling card was it didn't matter who was on the roster, they would bring their fight to every single game. Going to this, where you're not even covering spreads, the Titans this year have been the worst team against the number in the entire NFL. So on my naughty list is right down the road here in Nashville, the Tennessee Titans.
Well, Double D just gave me a great idea, and I'm going to go for it. And also, you're right. I was going to go with your Titans because they have been absolutely awful. You know who's on the naughty list? Absolutely naughty. The Falcons are on the naughty list for signing Kirk Cousins. You're giving Captain Kirk $62.5 million this year for a little more than half a season before you start Michael Penix Jr., which is the right call. Are you just handing out millions each and every year? Naughty. And
should have put him on layaway.
Oh, my God. How did you sign this guy to this contract, draft a quarterback, and then sit the guy that you signed to a $100 million deal? $62.5 million guaranteed. Kirk Cousins is having a very Merry Christmas because you, Atlanta Falcons, are on the naughty list. So,
well, here's the thing. In sports, I understand that not everybody's going to pan out exactly as you thought. But how old is Kirk Cousins? What was the surgery that he was coming off
Achilles.
of? There were signs. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
If he was in his prime and he just happened to have a pumpkin of a year, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But we all kind of saw this coming. He's a lot older than he was when he had all those prime years. He's not as mobile in the pocket. Now his arm doesn't even look good. And the decision-making isn't even there. Because here's the thing. With Kirk Cousins, he's never been Lamar Jackson in the pocket.
Right.
That's fine. But when you have a stretch of 5 games where you throw 1 touchdown to 9 interceptions, that's Will Levis numbers. I'm not even sure if Will Levis is that bad. That's what you expect from a rookie quarterback, not somebody who spent a ton of time and has been paid a boatload of money to play quarterback in the NFL.
I agree. Chelsea, nice list.
Oh, are you asking?
Yes. Who's on your... No, I'm just saying words. Nice list. Yeah, who's on your nice list?
Well, for NFL teams, it feels like the team that you have to, include in this has to be the Lions, right?
Yeah.
Not only are they really good, but they've been domination station in a lot of these games. I know as of late that they've hit a bit of a regression when it comes to covering the number. And when we're looking at the standings, obviously it's the Broncos that have the best record against the spread this year. But the Lions, they hit all the bullet points for a team for bettors and a team for somebody who just casually wants to watch. They've got the playmakers. They've got the head coach that has the crazy, quotes each and every week. And they have, the blue collar mentality that you would expect to correlate with a city like Detroit. And especially for those fans who have not had, success in quite some time, I think they have to be at the top of the nice list, don't they?
Yeah, I think so too. That's very good. Also, will you let me reminisce a second here? I know Bill can help with this. We do the nice list because we didn't talk about it, and I think we should talk about it for just a hot second. Can we just pay a quick tribute, even though it happened last Friday, to the great Ricky Henderson on the nice list, who passed away at 65? And I know you're saying, well, he passed away, but what a life, what a baseball player, one of the most legendary baseball players to ever play the game. There is story after story after story. And the most famous one, which I'll repeat, everyone knows this story if you know Ricky Henderson. If you don't, this is Ricky in a nutshell. First of all, Ricky talks about Ricky. He always referred to himself in third person. The most famous story is probably when he signed with the Mariners in 2000. John Olerud was on that team, wore a helmet instead of a soft cap. And so Ricky goes up to John Olerud and says, "Why do you wear that helmet?" John Olerud says, "Well, I had an aneurysm back when I was in college, so I wear this hard helmet as protection." And Ricky says, "I played with a guy just like that in New York." And Olerud says, "Yeah, Ricky, that was me." They were teammates before. There's also the story that when Ricky broke Lou Brock's record for stolen bases, destroyed it, by the way. Ricky still holds the record. He and Lou Brock, the Cardinals great, actually became very close friends up until this record was broken. And Ricky had a speech he and Lou Brock had written together in his back pocket of his baseball pants. He breaks the record. He lifts the base. He forgets about the speech entirely and ends up saying, "Today I can say I'm the greatest." Ricky Henderson was one of a kind, and I just wanted to acknowledge what an incredible life, what an incredible baseball player he was, because we didn't have time to get to it because it happened over the weekend. Okay, now we got some time, just in time for our Survivor pool. Let's do it.
Two men enter, one man leaves.
There can be only one.
Who will survive?
All right, here we go. How'd we do last week? Oh, we went 8-1 in week 16. You know the drill. All you got to do is pick a team to win. We start with the big man, the big old bear, big and burly and lovely. Double D, what do you got?
You can call me Santa.
Okay. As long as I can get in that lap. Woo! Let's go!
Jeez. All right, I'm taking the Eagles over the Cowboys. Saquon's on a mission. I don't care who's the quarterback of the Eagles this week. Saquon's on a mission to break Dickerson's record. I think the offensive line is on a mission as well. I think they take care of the Cowboys with the defense as well. So Eagles over Cowboys.
All right, Bill. What do you got?
Colts over the Giants. The Giants stink.
Oh, they do. And also, just full credit, you're 15-1 this year.
My only loss is Tampa Bay in week 3 to, I believe, Denver at the time.
Oh, my God. All right. I'm going to go. I wanted to be on the Eagles. I'm 11-5. Matt, I'm going to go Bucks over the Panthers. I think that's a pretty good pick. Just because the Panthers, even though they got a win last week, they still stink. So I think the Bucks get back on the right side. The Bucks and Falcons are still competing for the NFC South division. So Bucks going to be motivated. Give me the Bucks. Chelsea, it's you now.
I'm going to go with the Bills over the Jets. I understand that the Bills played down to the level of their competition last week against the Patriots. I understand it's a divisional matchup, but watching the way that the Jets fumbled that game away against the Rams, for some reason, Aaron Rodgers is still not on the same page on every play with Devontae Adams. It's December. What are you doing? And some of the questionable fourth down calls, it's not a team I want to trust. I think this is a get right spot for Josh Allen and company. Let's go Bills.
Oh, let's go Bills. I think it's a good pick.
Go Bills.
Go Bills. We're
Go
with you, fight Bills. We're with you. Let's go. I love Mar Levy. And I love winning bets. Can we get on the right side? I had a great night last night. Chelsea went 1-0. I went 2-0. Let's keep it going. Before we take off for Christmas, we're going to hand out some winners. We'll talk with the Dogster. It's coming up next on the Daily Tip from BetQL, presented by BetMGM. Stay right there.
Coming up, Jenks and Chelsea give out their best bets here on the BetQL network, presented by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Let's get back to the Daily Tip with Chelsea Messenger and Michael Jenkins on the BetQL Network, presented by BetMGM. The sportsbook born in Vegas. Download the app today. Please gamble responsibly.
Is this like Kendrick Lamar Christmas? What do you got for us there, Double D? Little Hawaiian vibe too? Yep. Welcome back to the show. The Daily Tip from BetQL, presented by BetMGM. Hope you're having a great morning. Thanks for being with us. We're live across the country, Monday through Friday, from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. in the East. She is Chelsea Messenger, live in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm Michael Jenkins, live in the nation's capital. Coming up on the show, Best Bets, the Donkster. We got plenty of time here because BetQL Daily, not on the air today. They took it off. They're on the naughty list. We're here. These guys aren't. What's everybody doing for the holiday? For the Christmas break here? Chelsea, we'll start with you because I know that you've talked a little bit about it, but you got Jake his gaming chair, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. You got that. You got a pot roast to make. I don't want to speak for you. What are your next couple days going to look like?
Yeah, I feel like I have a detailed plan and framework of everything that I have to do over the next 48 hours, because that's what moms do. All right, so today, right after the show, I have to make some magic and wrap some presents before my daughter wakes up, because she's a late sleeper. I feel like most people have kids, they're like, my son and daughter are up at 6 a.m. No, Blake sleeps till like 10, which is kind of amazing.
Wow.
And I'm thankful that we'll get to sleep in on Christmas morning, or at least that's what I'm hoping. Then I'll start something in the crock pot. We're going to do pot roast today. We're going to do baked potato soup tomorrow.
Ooh.
We're going to do sandwiches on Christmas Day so we can watch all of the games and kind of graze throughout the day. And then I'm going to eat a ton of sweets. I feel like this is the time of year where I'm at a sugar overload. I absolutely love Christmas cookies. Me and Santa, we're alike in that regard. Let me ask this fun question.
Sure.
If it wasn't Santa and it was you delivering presents, what food products and drink products would somebody leave for you? Like, you know, he obviously has milk and cookies.
Yeah.
For you, would it be like a cigarette and an old fashioned?
Oh, God, that's so good. You know me so well.
A weed pen and, you know,
it would probably,
a streetcar?
yes. It'd probably be like, make me a strong drink. There'd be a weed pen or something there. I'd be like, Merry Christmas, guys. Yeah, probably be perfect for me. Or conversely, you want to pull it back a little bit. You get me a good cheeseburger. Like, seriously. Like, I am such, and it's not like, oh, I like burgers. Like, I love a good burger. Like, a burger that is crafted. Like, it's really hard for me to stay away from a really good cheeseburger. Like, even at a nice gourmet restaurant, you know how sometimes they'll put together an amazing cheeseburger? Like, because you can do so many different things. God, this is making me so hungry. So, yes, you could do bourbon and a smoke. You could do like a cheeseburger and a Diet Coke. I'd also go crazy.
And a Diet Coke? You lost me on Diet Coke. Like,
No way,
cheeseburger, yes, but at least do like a beer. Jinx, do you even drink beer? I don't think
Sure.
I've ever heard you talk about beer.
Oh, yeah, I'll drink a beer. I like a good double IPA. I like something really strong. I like a good, and not like a trendy IPA. I like something really strong and a little bitter. You know, I don't like something I like something that hits you hard. You know, like a Space Dust IPA, something like that. You know, that's one of my favorites. So, yeah.
It feels like you need a flannel, a beard, and glasses to drink like a double IPA. Doesn't that sound like people like in Portland?
Yes.
I
Ever been
need
to
a
Portland?
double IPA.
That's very
been to
Portland-esque. Yeah, I've been to Portland. It is kind of grungy, you know. Everybody's just kind of chill like that. But yeah, you're not too far off with Portland there. What is everybody else doing? Bill, get it. What are you doing for the holiday?
I'm working tomorrow, Jinx.
Oh, God.
Terrible
question. Wah, wah.
No, it's fine. We're going over to my future in-laws' house today.
Oh, the future in-laws. That's good.
The future sister-in-law. So I'm doing that, and then tomorrow we'll go to my mom's house over in Maryland. After work, of course.
Oh, of course.
Yes.
Of course. Oh,
That'll be fun. You're going to say a future concert. I was like, wow.
Future, yeah.
I'm going to go see Future. I'm like, you are? I didn't see that coming.
Special Christmas day. Yeah.
But I will say at least it's in the morning. Like our show's at least in the morning. So even if you have to work, at least you have like the day.
Yes. I will be done work before anybody else is probably even out of bed. So, yeah.
Okay.
You're like Santa.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly right.
I think Double D's going to go see Da Baby. Is that right, Double D? What are you doing? What are you doing? What? Okay.
What is that?
Is
that a
the
movie?
Dracula movie.
Oh.
Ah.
I had not heard of that.
heard of
I did not know that.
Yeah, I did not know that. It's getting rave reviews. It has anything with Willem Dafoe. I'm in, so I'm gonna go check that out while everybody else is opening up presents.
Here's something I didn't expect to hear today. Anything with Willem Dafoe, I'm in. Just give me a good Willem Dafoe. But he is a great actor. Just kind of caught me off guard. That'll be fun, Double D. You know, can we get Daniel in here? Dan, you there?
It's up to him.
I don't know if you're on camera or not. Dan's filling in for Dylan today. Hey, how you doing, man? We don't want to leave you out. So just this voice. Hello, the voice of God. What are you doing for the holiday? Oh, that's awesome. I hope she's not listening to this show because, you know, between smoking and cocaine references. Okay, good. That's good.
What's wrong with that, Jenks? Blake listened to the show.
You got to be at least 3. I feel like from 1 to 3, you shield them, and then after that, it's like, all right, it's time to grow up. That's what I feel like.
It's time to grow up and get a job. Here's your cigarette.
Get a job. Here's your cigarette. Get out there. What was the old story that parents used to tell all the time? Yeah, caught my kids smoking, and I told them, all right, go out in that shack back there. You smoke the entire pack, and you come back and you tell me if you want to smoke again. I've heard that story a billion times.
Parents did that?
Oh, yes. Yes. And your kid would be so sick to be like, I'm never smoking again. You've heard that story before, right? Oh
I watched, not with cigarettes, but I had a buddy of mine who his little brother, I mean, we were in high school, so he wasn't like 6, came home hungover and threw up in their hallway. Mom got ticked off, so the next morning when he was hungover, Dad brought up like 3 beers and said, "You want a drink? There you go. You can come out of your room when you're done with these 3 beers."
Oh, my God.
And my friend and I just sat there and were like, how long do you think it'll take him? How long do you think it'll take him? It's a long morning for that young man, let me tell you.
Incredible. Well, guys, there's nothing left on. It really is nothing left on BetQL Daily. It's just the ether. But you can download our podcast if you want. We talked about the NFL, tomorrow's Christmas Day games, what we're doing for the holidays. Got to do a little bit of everything. You can download wherever you get your podcast. Just search for The Daily Tip. All right, let's send out our best bets and get to it.
Time to place your bets.
I should probably tell you on this, Chelsea, but instead I will let you give it out. Let's do it.
All right, we got to stay motivated for like 3 more minutes. So here's the best bet of the next few days, I should say. So I'm going to go to the Christmas Day game, and I'm going to go with the Ravens. And listen carefully because it's a little complicated. We're going to do Ravens first half money line and combine it with the Ravens in the full game on the money line. So I like the Ravens in the spot. They're laying 5.5. That number makes me a little nervous. But here's the thing about the first half. The Ravens have come out of the gates with their offensive blazing. One of the best first half offensive teams in the NFL. You could say that about the full game as well, but Baltimore ranking 3rd in points per game in the first half, averaging 14.7 points per game. Then you look at the Texans, who have been decimated by injuries. Obviously, the really emotional one being Tank Dell. Not only does CJ Stroud obviously love the guy, he's a big part of their offense. And when you're going toe-to-toe with one of the most dynamic offenses in the NFL, I think that spells trouble. So we're going to go Baltimore full game and first half money line. You combine those both, it's minus 140. So we're going to go with that.
All right, Chelsea, let's go. I am going to go to Hawaii for the Hawaii Bowl. South Florida taking on San Jose State. Oh, yeah, going over 63.5. I went back and forth on the side, couldn't figure it out. Now the Spartans will be without Nick Nash, one of the best receivers in the country, declared for the NFL draft. He's out. But they still have Walker Egan at quarterback. Gets to face a South Florida defense ranked 133rd against the pass. Conversely, we might get Byron Brown returning from injury for the Bulls. Even if he doesn't, this South Florida team averaged almost 40 points a game in their last 6 games. They play faster than any team in the country. This is going to back and forth like a video game. And San Jose State will be without their top 2 cornerbacks. So, man, that's just another big blow to the defense on the Spartan side. We're going to see a lot of points on the island. Let's have some fun and go over 63 and a hook.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and Jenks is betting on, who is it? Fresno or San Jose State and South Florida. This is what the holidays are all about. Jenks, I'm not going to lie. I feel like I have not paid attention as much to the ancillary bowl games since we've had the college football playoff. So I haven't bet on many of them. So good luck to you, my friend. I have not looked at them at all.
I appreciate it. All right, we got to get to the Donkster. Donkster, get in here. Since it's the Christmas season, can you keep things clean?
Of course. In fact, here's the holiday movies I've been watching. The Holiday, A Christmas Story, 9.5 Weeks, Christmas Vacation, Red Shoe Diaries, Elf, Erica's Hot Summer, Home Alone, Emmanuel, Hot Frosty, and Two Moon Junction.
Well, for you, Donkster, that's actually pretty good. Let's hear your bets.
Erica's Hot Summer gets 5 stars.
All right. All right. Bets, please.
Mavericks minus 5.5 hosting the T-Wolves. Merry Christmas, everyone.
All right. Good job, Donkster. Well, just like that, we're out of time on the Daily Tip from BetQL presented by BetMGM. For Chelsea Messenger, Bill Rowland, David Double D Dykstra, Dylan Mitchell, and Daniel Turner, I'm Michael Jenkins. Appreciate you guys tuning in each and every single day. We're very, very grateful for that. Have a wonderful holiday and Christmas when you're friends and family. We will see you back here on Friday. Bye.
You've been listening to The Daily Tip, presented by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Download the app today. If you missed any of the show, listen back anytime on the new and improved Odyssey app.